Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Misano Race Circuit. This is the ATK Pro Series. My name is Ernest Page, and this event, of course, as always, is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz ATK Motorsport South Africa, Kailami 9 Hour, and Coach Dave Academy. And this time, we are in Italy for Misano's race. The first time we've been here with the ATK Pro Series, and this is the Pro-Am division, where drivers will be competing to see who will be the best in the ATK Pro Series. Now, of course, we've had a very first 3 rounds of the championship, eventful first 3 rounds of the championship, and now we move on to round 4 as the championship starts to unfold. We're pretty much halfway. That means the drivers can now change their cars, and already I've got a list in front of me of a bunch of drivers that have decided to mix things up a little bit and change cars. Will those changes, though, prove to be their downfall, or will those changes prove to be successful? Today, I am joined by Daniel Haynes in the commentary booth, and Marius Roberts will join us later on. Daniel Haynes, welcome back, the man that brings the technical aspect to this event. And judging by that rig you got the back there, I'm going to mention it every time I introduce you, Daniel. Looks like you know a little bit of thing or two about sim racing. Daniel Haynes, are you with us? So Daniel will be back shortly, probably getting some technical
there
issue.
I am. I'm back.
Welcome
bit of a
back.
mic difficulty there. Sorry, Ernest. Yeah, I'm stoked to be here round 4 at Misano. Well, I like to bluff that I know a little bit, so the rig there at least gives me a little bit of a credence, but we'll see how we go. But yeah, this round is going to be totally different from our last round. For starters, it's not pouring with rain, so that'll be something nice for the drivers. But it's also a completely different circuit, so it's going to have a whole new range of challenges. I can't wait to where we're going with it.
Oh, what a circuit. I've sat on board with a couple guys, and unfortunately I'm on crutches at the moment, so I couldn't exercise my braking foot and do some laps, but I sat on board with a couple of drivers. I'm sure you've done many laps around this circuit, and it does look like it is an exceptionally technical track with many double apexes, many trail braking zones. It's one of those circuits where I think mistakes can get made easily and the technical drivers will shine. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not a track that I'm absolutely overly familiar with, just because it doesn't feature in my sim of choice. But I did take the opportunity, and I covered a round of the Misano a couple of weeks ago as well. And I ran quite a few laps in all the different vehicles just to get a good feel for it. And I initially just thought, well, it's not really my cup of tea. But it certainly, once you start spending a bit of time with it, it's got a lovely flow to it. And you're right, it's very technical. There's a lot of fast corners and a huge amount of corner cutting. So I think that's going to be a big feature today. So track limits, watch out for those. I think we're going to see a few drive-throughs.
I think we're going to see that as well. Apparently, the track limit drive-through penalties aren't that strict. However, to maximize the circuit, one has to go over the curbs. And definitely in qualifying, we're certainly going to see a couple of invalidated laps, I'm sure. We're looking now at the drivers that will be taking part in this Pro-Am division. And again, another big mention of our sponsors, Mercedes-Benz. I saw them posting something on Facebook this week, encouraging people to watch. So for those of you guys that are watching for the first time, welcome to the Pro Series, powered by Mercedes-Benz. And let's go through that call list. We've got Andre Serradio there now in the Ferrari 488. He was in the Bentley Continental. Chris Heineke also in the Bentley Continental before. So we've got 2 drivers that are now in different cars. Chris Heineke there in the 911. They jumped out to the Bentley. I see a couple of guys that dropped the Bentley. Have we found something that we don't like about the Bentley? There were some good results for some of the Bentley drivers. What do you think is going on there?
Yeah, Ernest, I was looking at that as well. It's a strange one, and I think some of these changes are very tactical, to be fair, because the Bentley's supreme around this track. It really is handy at Misano, but I just noticed a big jump in 911 drivers, both in the Pro-Am series and in the Pro series.
Yes.
And I think it's got Kailami in mind, the final round of the season. That car is just epic in our home track. Yeah. So I think guys are thinking rounds ahead, maybe prepared to sacrifice it, especially in the Pro series. I was looking, who do we have win last round? And it was Jason Absmar, wasn't it, won the last round? He's jumped out of his car as well. And I suspect that definitely is, because obviously he's carrying ballast for this round, and he's thinking of the following rounds to come. So some strategic choices in car changes, for sure.
Jason Abschmeyer changing from the Mercedes-Benz to the 911 GT3R and the 2019 model, which is of course one of the Evo models. And the thing is, as you mentioned, that that's the championship mindset though, isn't it? It's not about just doing one move for one track. It's about trying to keep the championship in mind. And speaking of keeping the championship in mind, that's what it looks like. And an interesting little tidbit of information. I know the ballast has been a contentious issue this year, but what's been happening is that there are few drivers, all the drivers that have gotten ballast this year are still in the top 14. So all the drivers that have gotten ballast in competition are still competitive, and the person that's got a lot of that ballast is Jordan Shedid, currently our championship leader by only 2 points. Behind him, Jason Abschmeyer, our previous winner, and JC Krobler in the Ferrari. I was watching him earlier on in practice. He is looking very, very racy at the moment. And I think JC Krobler is still someone to watch out for, even though he had a bit of a dismal performance when he managed to get some ballast. Jason Webb there topping out the number 31 position. He's back in the Mercedes-Benz. He was in the Nissan, and I had a chat with him earlier on. Very glad to see Jason back in the Mercedes-Benz. I mean, there's a little bit of bias there. Him and I go way back. But I always knew that he was one of the first cars last year, Daniel. You weren't here last year, but he was one of the first guys to be competitive in the Mercedes-Benz last year when not many people were using it. So Jason Webb back in the Merc, and we'll be seeing him in the Pro-Am category, which will start shortly. But Jordan Shedid, still a force to be reckoned with, and right on top of the championship standings. And then another, the guys in the back office, Daniel, have been working so hard here on the ATK Pro Series powered by Mercedes-Benz, and they've now taken the championship standings that you see in front of you here. These are the championship standings with the worst round dropped. Each driver gets to drop their worst round, and we've now done the calculations, and this is what it looks like. So going into the second half of the championship, this is exactly what it's going to look like. Notable names there: Kieran Patterson in 8th position. He's going to be very happy with that. Charles Wilkin down in 9th. Leslie Oliphant, Bruno Cadilla in 11th position. The McCall brothers doing well as always, with Morgan, getting that championship mentality going and really playing the long game, because it's not just about fastest lap. It's not just about one race. It's about who has the stamina over the course of a season.
Yeah, there's a few notable names there. One I'm looking forward to today, definitely, is JC Grobler in the Ferrari 488. That car, I think, is the fastest car around Misano. So I think he's definitely going to be one to watch out for. And I was also, Ernest, watching him in practice. He looks hot as well. A quick time round here in optimum conditions is in sort of mid 132s. And he was hitting those, and he was leading the practice leaderboard. So he's going to be trying to make up for the fact he's got no ballast from the last round, and really trying to get some championship points under his belt to move on to the following round. So I think the ballast definitely does add something, because I'm pretty sure Jason Abschmeyer is prepared to sort of sacrifice this round, just get what he can and run. And then he's got the Porsche 911, which is really strong around Donington and Kyalami for the final 2 rounds of the season.
So Donington Park, of course, looking forward to that one. Oh, one of my favorite circuits, and the UK's finest. I mean, those S's on the downhill and back on the uphill. So many things to look forward to in the Pro Series. But today we are at Misano, and as you said, that Ferrari is looking, I said earlier on, the Ferrari is looking racy. You said yourself, JC Krobler is looking racy. Could JC Krobler be the dark horse of the season? I mean, he didn't feature last year, in all honesty, and this year, all of a sudden, he's right up there, giving guys like Jordan Shedid, who came into this championship with a massive sort of reputation as being one of the quicker drivers here and almost unbeatable. So let's see what happens. Qualifying going to start in the next minute or so. We're going to go to ads, guys, and we'll be right back after this for the Pro-Am division of the ATK Pro Series, powered by Mercedes-Benz. Stay tuned. As of last race, we were joined by Coach Dave Academy, and as you can see, over the years, the guys have certainly improved. Using a lot of Coach Dave's setups are these guys. Coach Dave, of course, races for a Ferrari team in Europe, and very successfully so. Just got a second place in a recent event, and I think he won his last event as well. So the guy's getting some actual professional advice from actual professional race car drivers as we now go on board with Otto in provisional third place. That of course won't stand as he makes his way through the left hand over there. And Daniel, this circuit over here, this, as we were saying earlier, and I think we're going to see now as he makes his way onto the final corner start finish section over there, this circuit has got some insane corners that's going to take a lot of concentration, and I'm wondering if the Pro-Am guys are going to be able to cope with this tight, twisty, although short circuit.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right, because, I mean, you can't get into too much trouble if you run wide. There's plenty of runoff area here. But
Marius is going to hate that.
Yeah, he will. He will really hate that. He'll be pointing out all the track cuts, and the track cuts will be on every single corner. But there are a few really tricky ones. Turn one really comes on to you really quick before you realise that you're in there. And if you get that line wrong, that can really mess you up. And the mega fast section at the back, turns 12, 13, 14, got like a little kink that's just flat. And then 13 and 14, you have to sort of brake, lift, go around 13, brake again, really heavily into 14. That's tricky. But the good thing for us as spectators is passing opportunities everywhere on this circuit. Loads of deep, heavy braking zones. We're going to see plenty of passes. It's not Alton Park.
Yeah, plenty of passes. What we can look forward to. Jason Webb hoping to get back into the Pro division. He spoke to me early on and said that he's back in the Mercedes-Benz, confident in the Mercedes-Benz, and hoping to make a bit of an impact today in the Pro-Am division and maybe slide his way back up into Pro. Jason Webb currently running provisional second, provisional first with a 135.4 as he makes his way into that very tricky turn one section. We were just talking about turn one, back into turn two, the left-hander, and now into Variante. And these corners here, oh man, I'm so looking forward to the race. As you said, lots of overtaking possibilities here as we now go on board with Richard van Coller in one of the few remaining Bentleys on the circuit.
I was just about to say, one person I know well, I've raced against him many times before, and you want to watch out for is Chris Heineke. And as I say that, he pops up into...
Oh, you're going to call it again, aren't you? You're going to call the winner again, aren't you?
It's just a driver. I've raced with him for years, and he's quick. He's picked the Porsche, as I said, suspecting that he just wants to get a top five this round, and then he's in the quick car for the final two rounds, Donington and Kyalami. But showing that you can actually muscle that Porsche around here as well with a 134.7. Not as quick as the times we're going to see in the Pro Series for sure. But yeah, all he needs to do is that top five.
Well, Jason did say 133 definitely is possible in the Mercedes. Let's see how he does there. And speaking of the Porsche, we've got a few guys, Sean Mumford and QQ as he's called, also looking to change into the Porsche. They're not racing today, unfortunately, but they have changed back to the Porsche. Last season they were in Porsches, then changed for this season back into Porsches now again. So I think there are a few guys that are realizing that for the rest of the season the Porsche might be an advantageous choice as we go on board with that looks like Van Sale there in the stunning looking Ferrari over there. I just love this livery, and we were talking about loading the liveries onto our servers and onto our machines, but some of these cars are really looking quite spectacular at the moment.
Yeah, that's a Sim Race Masterclass livery. He's one of that's the name of his team, and he's one of their development drivers for Zaya Essa. So I've seen that skin going very quick in other series. So it should be quick here.
Of course, our championship winner from last year.
It adds a couple of tenths, that skin, I reckon, basically, just because you've got his signature on the back of it. So it will watch out for the Ferrari. You know the Ferrari's quick here, the Bentley, the Ferrari. The other one I want to watch out, we haven't got in this Pro-Am series, but in the Pro series, is actually the McLaren 720S. And Daniel Rowe is changed into that car.
Oh,
I suspect to try and kickstart his season here, because he hasn't been where we expect him to be. Certainly his last round wasn't something really to remember by, but that 720S, that should be strong at Misano.
Yeah, 720S definitely strong. We saw the White Rabbit Gaming car earlier on, and in the championship standings, the White Rabbit Gaming currently in 10th position. The Academy guys in 10th, and they are in 13th. There are championship standings up for grabs as well, and these guys, you know, this is really, in a strange way, a team effort with the guys working together. And Daniel, I'm sure you know a lot about that. What's it like working with some of the guys in a team sort of environment?
Yeah, I mean, that's what sim racing really does bring to you. You learn from your teammates, and especially if you're in the same cars, you help each other out with setups. We're just talking how important a setup is in all sim racing, but Assetto Corsa, Competizione, iRacing, all of them. Setup is absolutely key, and you can be sure that these drivers have spent hours working on their setup. So that's where like Coach Dave Academy is so useful. You can get that, save yourself so much time by getting a setup that's already pretty much tuned, and then you can just tailor it for your driving style. So the team atmosphere, even though it is an individual sport when you're actually in the car, that you can work with each other to help each other make that car more suited for the track, ride over curbs, etc. So yeah, it's a huge advantage having a teammate, especially when you get on well with.
Yeah, that's the key though, isn't it? You don't want to be arguing over the comms here as we go on board with Wentworth KKR racing there in 6th position at the moment, and looking good in the Aston Martin. If you go back to him now in 6th position, still has to set a solid time. He's got a 1:35.6. He's currently on the red lap, so this lap's not going to count. He's going to line himself up for the next one. And again, that car looking so good there in those colors. The guys have spent a bit of time on these liveries by the looks of things. And I didn't think that was a thing. Like, I kind of looked down on spending time on this kind of stuff until I went down that rabbit hole myself. And the next thing you know, you've done 1 or 2 laps only, and the rest of the time is being spent trying to move a sticker around a car.
100%, yeah. It's easy to do, but I mean, that's another thing with a team. Yeah, you got to be proud of your liveries, and we've got some cracking liveries in this series.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine them on a real life car, can't you, going around, and it just adds to the spectacle for sure.
Well, one of the things that certainly did surprise me is that there were a few cars that were running pink liveries last year, the Milk E-Juice guys. And, I spoke to them, I was like, why would you run that color? It didn't look, in my mind, that attractive, but it was certainly eye-catching, and they got quite a few mentions by the commentary team because the car stood out so much, and it's a good way to also get noticed. We've got sponsors to keep happy, as with any sort of motorsport. There are sponsors to keep happy, and with 6 minutes to go, all these drivers are now trying to keep their sponsors happy by getting up as high up on the table as possible. Otto now in 12th position there in the Aston Martin, looks like it. And let's see who's on the top of the standings here. We've got Jason Webb in 5th position, Van Sale in 3rd, Otto in 12th, as we said. 1st position, your man Chris Heineke in the Porsche, right on top. And on screen now, Paul Venter in 4th position.
There's certainly a bit of time to be had, I think. You got Chris Heineke putting that time early. Maybe we get a bit of track progression as this session sort of comes to a conclusion. Often do see that in ACC. Towards the end of the session, the track just comes that little bit quicker, and guys start popping in their fastest times right at the end. Because I expect a little bit quicker than a 1:34.1. I'm not going to lie. So we'll see whether anyone else can sort of challenge Heineke for that pole.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it so far. Heineke quite solidly in 1st position at the moment. If we look at the standings there, it's 0.3 of a second to Van Coller. 0.3 of a second is the big gap. Venter 0.4 of a second in total. So far Heineke with all to play for alone at the top of the standings as he crosses the line to go complete yet another lap. He's got 4 minutes and 50 seconds or so left, and currently 1/10 of a second up on his best time. If he can keep this together, he should be able to cement that 1st place position. But that is only qualifying, although it means a lot. As you said earlier on, there's a lot of overtaking opportunities on this circuit. So qualifying is not as critical as it was in the Formula One of Monaco just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that really was sort of a bit of a train forming. I don't want to race like that for these guys. I don't think we'll see it at all. I covered a race here a couple of weeks ago, as I said, and there was overtaking everywhere. Almost every corner you could get a pass made if you had the right line, or someone made a slight mistake or went wide. So we're going to see plenty. Don't worry about it. We're going to see. It's not Monaco. We're going to see everything here. It's going to be a good one.
We're on board now with just gone off the onboard camera, as I was saying. If we could go on board again, it'd be nice to see that bumper cam there of Chris Heineke as he makes his way through this little kink over here, and that's turn 12 into turn 13, and then into the very tight hairpin up ahead here, turn 14. And man, that section is, well, there you go. That's what happens. You make a mistake there, and then that happens. He lost half a second there and loses out on what would have been his fastest lap just on the section turns 12 and 13, which very technical stuff. You know, if you've ever been in a technical braking zone like that, he's still up though, up 1/10 of a second, just under. Cements his first place, but still having lost some time there. If you've ever been in a corner like that, the car's kind of leaning to the one side, but you've still got to brake while holding on to the car leaning to the one side. It's so difficult to do, especially in the Porsche, which has got the engine all the way at the back, as we now go on board with Otto in 12th place in the stunning looking Monster Energy Aston Martin over there.
Ernest, it's hello.
Sorry, we got a new visitor, have we?
Yes.
Marius, welcome.
Nothing happens fast in PE. I was just quite cool being on board and listening to you guys chatting, and I'm just, the moment guys design a circuit for bikes, you do end up getting fast and flowing. You do get a lot of different lines. You do get a lot of opportunity to overtake. And that little complex we looked at now into that hairpin right is very similar to Pakisa. You know, you come off the back straight, and it's exactly that, where everything from a dynamic perspective is wanting to send the car to the left, up onto the banking, but you've got to kind of get this thing stopped and turned because, well, the track's going to the right. So those little battles to keep a car set up and balanced is just super crucial. And I think, that's what makes circuits like this really cool. So, I think we're going to see lots of overtaking. Nice to see sunshine. Well, we are in Italy after all. So, looking forward to a good race.
And just as you're saying that, Marius, I've got the onboard here on my screen with Heineke. Heineke is, I know Van Coller's in third position, but Heineke is currently up 0.3 of a second as he makes his way across the finish line. He's going to beat his time again, just under a 10th. But again, Heineke cements that first place in pole position. Heineke with a 134.0, almost in the 33s. And he looks to be our pole sitter at the moment, trying to shuffle through the list here to see who else is in it with a chance. But so far, it looks like it's him.
And nothing wrong with the Porsche around here as well, because it was quite interesting. I didn't have a chance to chat to, I know the pros are coming up later, to have a chat to Jason, because I see he's made a switcheroo, and I don't know, I missed you guys chatting earlier. I don't know if it was something that was discussed, but I think a lot of guys are obviously looking into strategy now, knowing what the circuits are, and making calls based on the cars they think will work. So interesting to see him going in a Porsche, and Heineke seems to be quite happy with how the Porsche is handling around Misano.
There seem to be a few changes. I think the Porsche is definitely one of those cars that Daniel pointed out early on, Daniel. Marius, I'll hand it over to you now, Daniel, where this is where the guys are now starting to calculate and get ready for the second half of the championship, and possibly even Kailami where the Porsche shines. Daniel.
Yeah, totally. I mean, we talked about it earlier, and it's like in this situation on the Pro-Am series, you just got to get top 5. And Chris Heineke's got that. He's probably got that cemented in the Porsche. But I'm expecting some much quicker times in the Pro series in other vehicles. So don't think the Porsche is strong around here whatsoever, generally. So we'll see that in the Pro series and see whether that does come to play. But just going back to Marius, how you were saying about Jason Absmar, we talked about it earlier. I think because he's got 80 kilos of ballast, he's prepared to sacrifice this round, quite frankly, because the Porsche is unbelievably strong at Donington, and especially Kailami.
Chris Heineke does a 33.7. Chris Heineke does a 33.7.
Yeah, nice.
Daniel, I mean, you and I both know Jason. There's a lot of craft that's going in it, and I saw in the chat you guys were talking about throwaway rounds and how that impacts, and it's very clever if you're saying, listen, I'm dumped with a lot of weight, so let me just actually have a bit of fun, get my head back in the game, and worry about round 5 and 6, so that's amazing strategy. And if anyone was watching the Paul Ricard 1,000 kilometer race last night, I mean, Porsche absolutely did a cracker and went on to win there. So we know in the real world the Porsche is still the car to go with, but it's just incredible. I know we're trying to do that with ballast here as well, create our own balance of performance in a way. But I mean, to end up after a 6-hour race and have the top 4 or 5 all kind of within 15 seconds of each other is what we want.
Van Zyl going for third position there. Can he get it? Van Zyl gets third position. And that's it from us for now for qualifying, folks. We'll see you guys after this break. and just having a chuckle off air here. We've got some actual racing happening right now, right here, and we are 10 seconds away from these guys doing the formation lap. Marius, what are your thoughts on this circuit? I know that you mentioned earlier on it's a bike circuit, and could we compare this to Red Star Raceway also being an initially designed bike circuit and then now being used to cars as well?
No, Red Star Raceway is crap. Let's just be honest. It's like you get given this open piece of land and say, let's make a racetrack, and all you end up doing is fall asleep while you're doodling, and you've got these whole inside section that just loops here, there, everywhere pointlessly. This is very different. This is a track that someone's actually put a lot of thought to in terms of the layout, and that's why you've got so many opportunities. For me, I always love it when you've got compound corners where you're sacrificing one to line it up for the next corner. Cars get unsettled. It gives people lots of opportunities. You've got some good spacing in terms of straights going into heavy break points. That is the key to every racetrack. And I know sometimes with bike tracks, because of the fast-flowing nature, it can be difficult to get an overtake done. But what do? They stonk a hairpin at the end of those fast-flowing sections, and there you have your overtaking opportunity. So really cool. And I think, I don't know in game in terms of track limits and what's in place here, but again, you run wide, there's sand traps, all those sort of things that will slow you down. So it's a good mix of old school, new school. The track was, I think, only opened in 1972, so there've been some modifications to it, but yeah, cracker circuit.
Daniel, you were mentioning earlier on that you think there are going to be lots of overtaking opportunities here as we look at Jason Webb, #GetMilk, as he's sponsored by Milk E-Juice. You were saying, Daniel, lots of overtaking opportunities, yeah?
Yeah, I covered a race here a couple of weeks ago in ACC, and they're just overtaking it everywhere. So I'm expecting it. It's not Alton Park, nice and wide, plenty of space, a few different lines you can take on the back as well. And you get it snuck up the inside into the braking zone as you basically got to relinquish the place. We're going to see some passes. Don't worry about it.
Oh, that's good to hear. Good to hear. Alton Park.
We're probably also going to see some incidents.
Oh, Van Coller.
No doubt.
Some incidents. Van Coller's on the grass there. Not quite sure what that's about. Van Coller goes on the grass. Maybe he was
just checking for traction.
Yeah.
Checking for traction off the line,
I think we should. I think our pace car might know exactly how much traction is on that grass based on his last race before.
Jeez, we are like. No, we're like women with elephant memories. We just do not forget.
I'm pretty sure the safety car keys are firmly locked away for this round. Don't you worry. If we see a safety car today, I'll eat my hat. There's just no chance. It's not going to happen. So Jonathan's sigh of relief from the safety car driver. He can have the day off, I'm pretty sure.
I was chatting to John earlier on, and getting the day off is not what he will be doing today, that's for sure. Lots and lots of work happening in the background, guys, and lots of preparation going into the ATK Pro Series. Of course, this is the premier division when it comes to sim racing in South Africa, and these are the top 30 or so drivers in the country, all South Africans making their way and trying to make their way to the top of the standings. The ATK Pro Series. This is round 4 about to kick off. We are at Misano in Italy. The guys are lining up side by side now. We've got Heineke in first position, Van Coller right next to him in second, Van Zyl in third, Venter in fourth. They're making their way to the flag. The lights go green and off they go. Right-hand lane, they're in the lead so far. It's going to be a right-hand corner, so the Porsche might have the inside line. We go on board with the bumper cab facing backwards. Look at that. The guys slot in between each other and no drama so far. Van Zyl gets a bit of a nudge. Van Zyl gets nudged in the background there and collects. Riddell takes Leroux out as well. All of the guys in the background out there.
Carnage.
Oh
Carnage
no, this is not good. And it was all started
Safety
by
car.
a tiny little touch. A tiny
Safety
little touch.
car. No, watch, they're going to call the safety car now. We've lost too many guys on the start.
They're back on track, though. Back on track. Van Zyl, that's not what he wants. He just wants the top 5 place. That's all you need for this round. First doesn't matter. You just want a top 5. But we're getting a safety car, I think.
No,
I was just joking, as Ernest is saying, and you saying no safety car Murphys, that ends up happening. But listen, not the ideal start, but luckily this isn't a 10-lap sprint race, but a 15 minutes endurance race. So for me, a mistake in the beginning. You don't have a big field. They've got clear track ahead of them, so they can get their head down, regroup, and get back onto the back of the pile. So not ideal, but not the end of the world. It's a long race.
It's a long race to go. Jason Webb, the big winner there in 4th place. Venter in 3rd. Van Coller in 2nd. Heineke in 1st. Van Zyl dropping all the way down to 14th position. And it was the tiniest of nudges that set him out. As the two Bentleys have a look at each other, there with Jason Webb also trying to line himself up in the Milk E-Juice car there in 4th position. Jason Webb saying he's getting a bit more comfortable with this car he had this last season, Marius. I'm sure you remember. He was one of the first guys to have pace in this car last year.
Yeah, but that's the cool thing, because again, we spoke about the changes. We know he was bravely trying to bring life back into the GTR and Nismo, and it just really wasn't working for him. So glad to see him going back to a car that we know. Oh, nice little tap there as well. So under braking, they've gone in. That's trouble. Jason's scoring big time here. So I don't know what's happened, because they're bumping into the back of each other ridiculously. What is going on with the two Bentleys there?
Jason Webb gets up into second place there, looks like it. Van Zyl now in the pit lane, getting that damage repaired, no doubt, I'm sure. And look at that, Webb now in second position. The Bentleys, we were watching the Bentleys in practice earlier. They were tussling with each other, even in practice. So I'm not sure if there's some love lost there or what's going on.
Oh, but it was bizarre, because it looked like Venter ran into the back of Van Coller, under braking, pushed him a little bit wide, but then it's like Van Coller didn't want to get going again. So unless it was, I made a mistake, let me give you your position back, but they never swapped positions. Yeah. So all the while they were negotiating that, Jason just said, thank you, I'll go around the outside. So he'll be super stoked with that. But like I was saying, he knows this car. We know that the car has been quick in the hands of most of the guys that have gone the AMG Merc route this season. So I expect to see him finishing top 5, going through and doing some good things in round 5 in the Pro Division, where he belongs, to be fair.
Exactly. In the Pro Division, exactly. And we see there in the back one of the Ferraris, that's Riddell, who was also involved in that incident earlier, but he managed to get away from that, at least by the looks of things, mostly unscathed. Currently in 5th position, so Radio just
pits.
behind him.
So Bentley in the pits, yeah.
Van Coller's gone into the pits, so maybe there was an issue, because I couldn't understand why he literally got tapped, and then he seemed to park it in the middle of the track and got tapped again. So I'm kind of thinking, what can go wrong? There's no mechanical stuff here, and he clearly hasn't disconnected from the server. So
he might be just getting his pit stop out of the way, because obviously got a compulsory pit stop required, and if you are being held up in traffic, think maybe I'll pit early and run long.
But do you think it was being held up? It was that little incident where they ran into each other.
They were swapping places quite a lot, a bit of a battle. He certainly wasn't enjoying his time on track. If he can get some clean track out when he comes out in the pits, it might actually serve him well by the end of the race. We'll just have to see where he ends up.
I'm worried about where Van Zyl and them are. Remember, they had that little spin as well, so you're not really coming out with perfectly clean track. But like you said, there are only 14 people racing, so you're not sitting on a crowd at Misano. So maybe it is strategy. I just thought it was a bit weird that early on.
Heineke in a league of his own at the moment, did a 135.1, his last lap, and also his best, currently 0.3 of a second up. He's going to go into the 34s. Jason Webb with a 36.8, 1.2 seconds up on this lap. He might do 35s, mid 35s, and then in third place, Venter, 3 seconds up. So he's also going to do a low 35 and now start to place a lot of pressure on Webb. And I don't think that incident earlier on caused him any problems, at least not when it comes to outright pace.
Yeah, it's just interesting having a look. Again, we're speaking about the different lines through some of the corners, and you can see some of the guys kind of choose not to take the traditional apex on the tighter corners and run a bit of a wider line, almost like they'd rather get the car rotated and straight lined and get back on the power earlier. And those are little things that make for good racing on a circuit like this, because like Daniel was saying, you've just got to do a block pass, put your nose there, and you kind of force the guy's hand. And he has a look, having a good little look through that little corner, showing his nose. So Jason knows that Venter is there, and Venter's just got to watch it. He doesn't run into the back of Jason like he did to Richard Van Coller earlier. Has Van Coller rejoined the race?
Van Coller is...
Yes, he has.
Currently...
13th place. He's ahead of Flip Van Zyl, so he is ahead of the other guy that's pitted. So just see whether he can get a clean run. He might enjoy a clean track position.
Yeah, you might be spot on with that, Daniel, and it's a good call to see that early. It's just like we're not used to, when you're kind of in a bit of a dogfight, you think most guys' mentality is let's go, whereas maybe that was a cool, calm, collected decision to say, off you go, I'll get you at the finish line.
Van Coller all on his own on the circuit there. He's got no one in front of him. Venter now putting some pressure on. Venter goes down the inside, gets the position as we go through that very complex section we're talking about earlier on. That, of course, sections 12, 13, 14, and now the hairpin over there is turn 14 into turn 15. And he gets the position. Venter gets it from Webb. And he's got some pace on Jason Webb. He's got a little bit of speed on him. And he's still going faster. Car number 45, Jason Webb gets a drive-through penalty. Jason Webb gets a drive-through penalty Oh my goodness me, that is interesting stuff.
First
Was
lap
that
of
game?
global contact for Jason Webb's actually cost him in the end. It's going to be very painful as he comes through incredibly slowly, everyone going down the start finish straight and much quicker than he is.
I wonder if we can get a replay on that.
Yeah,
Jason,
he might have been responsible for that the big incident we saw in the background off the start of the race. I'm pretty sure that is what it was about. And here I am saying, oh, Jason easily finished top 5 and be in pros where he deserves to be, but he's got a long afternoon ahead of him now.
Jason Webb was the one that contacted Van Zyl. Jason Webb was the one that touched Van Zyl, gave him
Don't
a
they have phone
slight
numbers?
nudge.
I
And
must tell him to WhatsApp rather. It's a lot easier than the old school knock on the door, you know.
oh, it was such a touch, such a light touch, but that's all it takes in this form of motorsport. One little touch and it's all over. Jason Webb gets the drive-through penalty.
I think we might be getting a few more drive-throughs. We're talking as well, this whole, to be quick, a quick lap round here, you've got to cut corners, basically. You're taking liberties with track limits. And the game is quite friendly on that, especially on this track, because that's sort of how the track is designed. So you'll see so much scrub on the curbing on the inside everywhere anyway, that you are expected. You can get all 4 wheels completely off. So they'll still be dabbling with those track limits. And as after 50 minutes, if you start building up a few many, you're going to end up with a penalty as well. So we're just going to keep an eye out on that here and as well in the Pro Series, especially. I think those quick guys, they'll be pushing those track limits even more.
And just Daniel and Ernest, I know you guys spend a lot of time in ACC. How does that? Does it give you an audible warning saying that you've gone over track limits? Is it able to, like at some circuits, and we watched last night with Paul Ricard, exceeding the track limit doesn't give you an advantage. Now, in game, is it able to decide that, or does it just go, no ways, you've exceeded track limits?
It is able to, it knows when you've gained an advantage, and you will get warnings for it, and you get so many strikes and you're out, if you like, before you start serving a penalty. If you do a massive aggressive track, you can get a penalty instantly, and you'll get like a 15-second drive through. But if you just do too many, as we see an Aston there properly cutting over or clipping onto the grass, that's the sort of thing we want to be looking out for.
Yeah.
Wentworth over there making a big move.
So if I outbrake myself and go straight and don't
it takes
gain
you an age to
advantage,
get back on track. It'll let you off there.
Then that's fine. Okay, perfect. Because I know sometimes it can be so fundamentally set up that it's like you've exceeded track limits, but at the end of the day, you punished yourself. So it's incredible that level of technology is available. But look at the different lines through there. So he's obviously gone on a tighter line, got himself lined up so he can come on the power a little bit earlier, and that makes it cool for us from a commentating perspective. A lot of times, think, he's going for a move, but he's just using a different line through a corner. So that really is so nice to see, and I love circuits like this because as a driver, you are always kept on your toes, and from a defensive perspective, it really keeps you thinking because there isn't just one obvious block line to prevent a guy from going past.
William Wentworth's really all over the back of that Bentley, isn't he? He's trying to find a spot through, but the Bentley's as wide as a barge, and really keeping him behind.
But I do think Furi's a little bit all over the place as we see him go off track there again. He's
Second time,
He's feeling the pressure now, and I think if Wentworth bides his time, it's going to come sooner or later. He's also going defensive in places where he doesn't necessarily have to go defensive, and I think Wentworth is just moments away from making this move stick.
But
What you'll notice also, once you notice also with the Bentley, this track is so unbelievably smooth. I have a motion simulator here, and when I was doing practice work in Alton Park, it was moving itself across the bloody room. But on Misano, you hardly knew that it was even running because it is such a smooth track. Apart from on the inside of the curbs, you'll see those yellow sausage curbs. They're severe, and about the only car that can just glide over them is the Bentley. So when we're in this high position in the camera view, just watch the Bentley as it cuts the inside line on a lot of these corners, and we'll just glide straight over those sausage curbs, whereas everyone else will want to keep off those. So that's one big advantage of that Bentley.
Just what I wanted to add in there as well, what you were saying, Ernest, in terms of, he's going defensive when he probably doesn't need to. That is the challenge, because all that the guys have been doing in the week leading up to the race is running simulation, running perfect lap times, running perfect racing lines. Now you get into a race and it's very, very difficult because you haven't gone door to door with people in that situation. And maybe the guys, or they have perhaps, spent time racing like that. But that is a challenge, like I said, around a track like this, because you actually don't know where you should be going defensive because there are so many different lines through a corner. So it is really tricky. It's one thing running your perfect line in practice, but in a race, it's there are many ways to skin a cat around here.
Well, skinning a cat is exactly what Wentworth wants to do. He goes around the outside of turn 1 into turn 2 now, gets cut off and runs wide, does Fourie. Fourie runs wide there. Now Wentworth's got the run. Going through the next section over here, it is going to be a very tricky right-hander up ahead here. And who will get the advantage? Wentworth around the outside. They go door to door, side by side. Wentworth has it. He's got the advantage. He's going to take it. Wentworth takes it through the inside of the following corner.
That's brilliant racing by both of them because you actually saw Wentworth back out of that. And I think maybe last year it would have been, oh, let me just leave my nose here, and you end up getting your nose clipped and then there's an incident. And he's actually backed out of it, realizing that Gerber's going to sit in a compromised line because he's gone in on the wrong line. That was some really great racecraft, and nice to see them going door to door and leaving each other with enough space. Brilliant to see.
Wentworth doing well there, but now makes a mistake, and this often is the case, isn't it? You get that overtake maneuver, and then you make a mistake. Now he's under pressure from Fourie once again, but I do think he's got the pace and the overall composure as we go to a replay shortly of what happened early on the first lap incident between Jason Webb and Van Zyl. Van Zyl getting an ever so slight touch from Jason Webb. I saw the touch happen, but I wasn't sure who made it. But as he said, Marius, he should have just gave him a WhatsApp call, but instead tried to make contact with the back of that Ferrari, and there you go. That's all it took. And then the White Rabbit Gaming Ferrari also gets a bit of a nudge there, and more cars get involved. That's Wentworth there in the mix. And as we go back on board with Wentworth in 7th position.
It's radical, like I just said now about putting your nose in a place that you shouldn't, and that was exactly that. You could see he actually rolled off the brakes and just went in a little bit deeper, almost relying on the fact that Van Zyl was going to know that he's there and not close the door. But that ends up becoming Jason's responsibility, being the driver behind, to make sure that both guys survive the corner. So, yeah, I think it's a fair drive-through penalty. So
no malicious move in there whatsoever, was it? It was just one of those things. Just wished he wasn't there at the time. Just went a little bit too deep, and the tiniest of touches. If he hadn't spun him round, he would have got away with it.
It's like literally would have saved him if they were door to door and they were going panel to panel, But that little touch on the rear three-quarter, there's only one way that car is going to go, and it's the wrong way.
Yeah. We're on board now with Jason Webb down in 10th position, and again a familiar position for Jason Webb is him in a fighting position, now having to fight his way through as Leon Leroux in right up in front of him. Yes, is this Leon Leroux? No, that's not. That's a Bentley. I don't think that's Leon Leroux.
That's Fourie.
That's Fourie in the Bentley. That's Fourie in the Bentley. He's going to try and have to get past him as quickly as possible. Jason Webb now trying to make his way up the order. And again, as I said, a familiar position for Mr. Webb, having to fight his way through the field.
No, but he's got 35 minutes to go, and like you said, his goal here is top 5. I mean, I think championship aspirations are well and truly over, but he wants to be racing in the pros, for sure he is. I mean, this is a great set of corners here, and you can have a look. That Bentley is all over the place, and actually threw Jason off. I think he actually went, oh, where's this guy going? And he gave him a real wide berth. So it's just a great set of corners, those.
Yeah, their times are very much separated. Jason's best time is a 35.2. Fourie gets old! Oh, there's an incident. There's an incident. I think Fourie lost it.
Exactly. That's not Jason Webb's fault at all. I mean, that literally...
De Villiers thread the needle there as well, didn't he, between those two cars?
Yeah, look, I'm going to call that straight away. I mean, Jason literally had nowhere to go. That's just really unfortunate. Not going to help him at all.
I hope we can see a replay there. That was Fourie and Jason Webb clattering together there. And I do think that Fourie made a mistake. I'm now checking out the replay myself here.
He actually lost the rear end coming on the rumble strip. Maybe came on the power a little bit too early. And you saw a big twitch. And Jason had nowhere to go. So that's really unfortunate. We're going to call that a racing incident without even seeing the replay.
Oh man, what a pity. I just saw it now. Jason did collect him, but unfortunately he got it sideways, as you mentioned, Marius. And another Bentley that's not getting it too sideways is Fenter in 2nd position in the big Bentley. Logistical nightmare. That car doing a best time of 134.4. And I mean, now we're starting to fly. Some of the guys doing low 34s now. They got all center there, looking good in second position.
I'm just having a quiet chuckle because I hope Wayne is watching this, because we've got an incident report tomorrow, and I know Wayne loves to go, "Oh, you should have come off the power." I'm like,
oh yes,
dude,
that's Wayne's favorite line.
We've already got the stewards saying that it is a racing incident, so hopefully we'll avoid that on Monday.
Yeah, because you would have needed Jeddah reflexes to have avoided that, because geez, it just unfolded so fast, So well done to the stewards, they really are. I think this is a lot easier for them to be dealing with, because it's not rain, it's not Alton Park, it's sunny Italy with lots of runoff, so it gives them time to be able to deal with the things as they happen, and then for us, we don't have to sit and deal with penalties post race.
Although last round at Alton Park, we did see an incredibly clean Pro-Am race, didn't we? And
That's
then followed
true.
by what was a bit of a shocker in the Pro Series. So it's the Pro-Am race guys that are actually teaching the Pro Series how to drive. So we'll see. Hopefully we don't get a repeat of that. But yeah, I don't want to speak too soon.
Yeah, I think that's what happens when you get your Pro card. You kind of you lose your mind a little bit. You get given you get given that red visor to flip down, because there was a lot of carnage in that race. I'm kind of saying, listen, let's give the pros a break. There were a lot more of them on the track, difficult in those conditions, but let's see, today there's no excuse. You've got a good track, great conditions. Here's the replay. Oh, I don't know what happened there.
The penalty in front for he got out of sorts before on the exit of that corner, didn't he? And then
but it was weird.
Quite hold it.
Yeah, it was weird, Daniel, because I actually initially thought he lost the rear, but he actually seemed to have lost the front. It was quite strange. I don't know if maybe he took too much curb on the entrance on the inside, and that kind of gave it a little bit of a twitch and pushed the nose wide. But listen, nowhere for Jason to go there, unfortunately. But he hasn't lost any position, still sitting in 10th. What he has done is obviously lost a bit of time and momentum, because he needs to get up to Otto in 5th. So a lot of racing to go with 30 minutes left. He's got a lot of work to do.
The radio here in 4th position, getting a little bit of pressure from Van Zyl. Van Zyl 1 lap down in 13th position. But Van Zyl also was someone with pace, and we saw he was right at the sharp end of the field in that first lap before getting taken out. So he's going to want to get past Serradio as quickly as possible. And there he goes, down the inside, takes the position. Oh, it's side by side. They going to the right-hand side there, but Serradio's got the advantage. And like you were saying earlier on, Marius, this circuit, it's not necessarily about who gets the inside line. It's about who gets the speed coming out of the corner.
But what's really tough, and I mean, Daniel, you can comment on this as well. It's just, for me, the tricky thing, maybe it is obviously being Pro-Am, not pros, but there, he actually almost got a fright. He thought, oh, let me not run into the guy, and he backed out completely. And chatting to the real racing drivers that play Assetto Corsa, it's really difficult for you to judge that space and to get a real feel for it, because in a real race situation there, that was done and dusted. He went up the inside, he was never going to run into him, and he would have got the pass done, but he actually got a fright, backed out of it. And I suppose that is one of the challenges, is learning to anticipate how the car feels around you and how much space you need to leave.
Yeah, no disrespect to some of these drivers, they're leaving a little bit of track time out on the circuit, really, as in the Pro Series will be a couple of seconds quicker, I believe. Yeah. So they've got different braking, like there is time to be had. So I think with sim racing, obviously, you're not down at this level, you haven't fully perfected the lap, if you like. So I think it's just different braking zones we saw there, and one going in on the brakes way earlier than the other, and it looked like hesitation. You're quite right, Maris. It did certainly look like hesitation. You probably find that's just the braking zone that he's picked and got used to, and you can actually push it a little bit more. And the pro guys, I mean, they won't come off their braking zones. They'll be absolutely on it. They know every single corner. This is the last possible opportunity I can lift. This is the last opportunity I can brake, and they do it lap after lap after lap. So, and when you've got the only way you stop them is to get your car up on the inside, and then it forces them to come onto the brakes earlier or lift off.
Someone we should definitely watch out for is Van Zyl. I'm just checking the standings now. Van Zyl's already pitted. He's currently in 13th position. His pace is good. And I do think we should watch out for him later on as he's still chasing down Serradio. We've got Riddell in third place, the first of the Ferraris, as Serradio ducks into the pit lane. And now let's see where Van Zyl ends up. Van Zyl now all to play for. He's got clean air in front of him. The guys are now starting to take advantage of that pit window. And where will Van Zyl end up? He was 13th position. He's now up to 11th.
Well, also Van Coller. I mean, Daniel called it. He was the first to pit, and look where he's sitting. So he's actually ahead of Jason Webb already. Jason's just pitted now as well. So in theory, that's our leader of the race at this stage. But interesting to see. I think Heineke has opened up enough of a gap. Have a look. He's got a 22-second gap there. So I think he's going to be safe.
But I'm just checking Van Coller's times. He pitted early, and he's putting good times as well. He's like 135 flat was his last, which is a top time. His quickest lap of the race was a 134.9, which is right up there with Chris Heineke. So yeah, I don't think he's pushing for the win, but that early pit stop could throw him into the top 5. You know, I think we want to watch Van Coller. He could be a top 5 driver here.
I think what he's hoping for is that everyone else ahead of him pits, because that really will just keep that track open. And it seems to be at this point where the guys have in their mind said we're pitting around about 25 minutes in, because you're seeing a lot more guys diving to the pits. So that might open things up even further for Van Coller. Because, I mean, when he had that incident, I think he was lying in 3rd or 4th. That's where the battle was. So I think him making the early call, he's hoping to get better than that. So I've picked him for 2nd, I think, at this stage.
Interesting. Also pitted though, and still in 7th, isn't he? So I mean, he's got to be right up there as well when the top guys pit. I didn't actually clock in my practice what a pit window here costs. If there's anyone in chat, maybe they can help us out if they know what a sort of in fuel and then back out again. Well, what that is at pit time.
Well, the pit lane is quite long. I've been told by some of the drivers it's not as long as Spa, let's say, but it is quite a wait. And just to throw back to our last race, guys, remember we had so many incidents where we couldn't even keep track of them? Just to let you know, the incident between Jason Webb we just saw was noted as a racing incident. And it's nice to know that we only get 1 or so incidents every 10 minutes versus 10 every 1 minute.
The drivers know they're going to get it. They can get through them quicker during the race as well, isn't it? It's nice. If you're a driver and you think to yourself, there's a possibility I'm going to be served a penalty, you want that penalty handed to you instantly, don't you? You don't want to be having that hanging over your head for the rest of the round. If you're going to have a drive through, get in, get it out, and then move
100%. But you know, Daniel, that's the case. I mean, and that's where our officials have really been so good with that. But I just think the last round was just one of those freak ones in the pros, because there were just so many of those things happening. But I mean, generally this is how it is. So you kind of get your race done, and where you finish at the end of the day is legitimate. So put the bad news behind you, get your head down and get some laps in. And that seems to be what Van Coller certainly has done. Jason Webb to some extent as well, but he just keeps on. Ernest, he had this last year as well. Remember how many unlucky moments he ran himself into? Like he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And as he's making momentum, after his drive-through penalty, he ends up in that little situation, turned around the wrong way. So that's really ruined his afternoon.
What a shame. Just an FYI, guys, the top 5 in qualifying move up. So any of the guys that qualified in the top 5 will go to the Pro Division. So Jason Webb just needs to stay in the race, and he should, if he got a top 5 qualifying, which I think he did, should go through to the next heat as a pro driver. So top 5 in qualifying go through to the pro division.
Okay, so that's the difference then, isn't it? So they've already cemented it, they just need to finish it. So his job's done, if you like, for Jason Webb.
I don't really like that though. I know they're saying, oh well, something can happen in the race. Well, yeah, that's why it's called a race. You know, so for me, I would, especially if you're dealing with.
I can't believe you're sort of controversially against it, Marius. That's so unlike you.
No, but you know what I mean.
Marius, in the words of Murray Walker, anything can happen in racing, and it usually does.
100%. But if, like we've just spoken about now and applauding our officials, if you're doing something wrong and penalties are being issued and everything else, then things will pan out. That person would have been punished, would have been given a drive-through. So at the end of the day, I think you want to incentivize guys, because it's very easy to put a sweet lap together in qualifying, because that's all you've been practicing for. But at the end of the day, things do happen in races, and your results are judged on race day, not on qualifying. So for me, I'd like to see that as a change. I know we have had this debate, I think, in the beginning of the season. So it is interesting that they've stuck with that. But yeah, I just think it's otherwise, what are you racing for? You know what I mean?
I totally understand what you mean, and I need to hear their side of the story, but I do agree. I like the fact that you're racing for your position in the next category. But yeah, let's see what the officials say about that.
Their side of the story is something can happen in the race, that an incident that's not your doing, and it ruins your race. You don't end up finishing fifth. But if we've gone to all this effort to issue incidents, and they are on it and doing drive-throughs and time penalties and everything else, then any silly driving or mistakes would get amended on race day.
To play the good policeman, if you like, though, to be fair, in other series, your position in a round, or whether you'll be introduced into a Division 1 or Division 2 or Pro-Am, as we call it here, would often be based off a pre-round qualifying session anyway. So it would be a one-lap pace rather than completing a race. So you do want your quickest drivers to be in Division 1.
How does that tie in with relegation? Because relegation works in a similar way, because we've got a relegation and a bumping up sort of system going on.
Yeah, relegation would, to be fair, usually be if you finish like at the end of the race, like not based off qualifying time often. But I'm not. That's also based off of qualifying here, is it? Yeah, it is, isn't it? I know in the Pro Series, relegation is the bottom 5 drivers in qualifying as well. But generally you would have had to do a qualifying round to get into the series, so it would be based just off one lap pace, not off a race result.
Probably look, I know the reason why they've done it for the pros is because there's ballast, so that I understand. But in the Pro-Am, there's no ballast, so you're not getting a guy that's kind of at the back because he's carrying a hell of a lot of weight. So I get it.
There's been a lot of talk about that as well, Marius, and I've cleared this up with Jono. I'd like to pull Jono in here for the next qualifying. You know, the guys, as I say, are working a lot in the background, and ballast, the drivers with ballast won't get relegated. If you've got ballast, you won't get relegated. And the order of relegation is also those that rage quit, those that don't show up. So in the last race, for example, I think only one of the drivers at the bottom of the field went back to got relegated. So it's a complex thing, and I'd like for Jono to clear this up, because I'm still trying to wrap my head around some of this. And I mean, I'm one of the commentators, and I'm sure the rest of us are also. So maybe we can get our technical man Jono in for the next qualifying to help us clarify this. I did speak to him about it earlier, and so we should get hold of him later.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the ballast maybe for next season will be looked at and revised. However, it has, I think now guys have got drivers, they got used to the fact that it's there. They know it's a huge penalty. So you've got drivers like Jason Absmar. It's very interesting after he won his race last time at Alton Park. He was on Discord. He was saying he was more than happy to take his 80 kilos of ballast. He didn't want to have an advantage over anyone else.
Yeah.
And he viewed it as part of his strategy for the season. So I think that he's just going to take what he can get here at Misano, and he'll move on. And he's picked his car. So I think it's drivers that know that it's coming. They're factoring into where they want to finish. If you're quick enough, maybe you don't want to finish first. You want to finish slightly less for the ballast. If you think I've got to be good at the next round, or
competitors will do what they need to do to win. So you get given the rules and you play within those rules. We just heard about Daniel Rowe potentially trying to stay out of the ballast zone. Speaking of winning, we got Fenter now closing in on Heineke. The gap now about just under 3 seconds, so a lot smaller than it was earlier on. And could we see Fenter challenging for first place over here? Currently in the Bentley, just under 3 seconds behind Heineke.
They've all settled after their pit stop. You got Van Coller. It's actually got a podium place from his early pit stops. So it worked out splendid for him.
Yeah, I was making a call for him being in second, but he's actually losing time to Fenter. So Fenter, Ernest, well picked, is definitely the guy on the charge at the moment, because he is closing that gap down to Heineke. So this is nice. Pit stops out the way. We've got 20 minutes of clean racing. What you see on track is how it is. There's no guessing left. But I'm glad you brought up that ballast thing, because that was always the thing. Whether the weight was correct or not is irrelevant. It is what it is, and there's no ways you can change it through a season. And that's the thing. We don't need to do knee-jerk reactions here. The drivers have all accepted it, and it becomes a big part of the strategy. And that's why we're sitting in such a cool little situation with round 4 coming up, and everyone is still in with a shout. So that for me is awesome. I picked up, just having a look at Paul Riccardi yesterday on ACC. I think, Daniel, you spoke about it as well. I think the most weight that he's added there is like 35 kilograms. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It will be revised next year. It doesn't mean that what we're doing here this year isn't working. I think it's doing a great job.
Yeah, I think like 30-ish kilos. But yeah, like you said, it's regardless of what happens now. Guys are now factoring it into their decision-making process for future rounds. And Now they've had the opportunity to change their cars as well for the last 3 rounds. They definitely factored that into the aspect as well. So those 5 guys that are running ballast here at Misano, I think they basically ignored how good their car will be here. They've looked at Donington Park and Kailami.
Yeah.
Interesting
great
to see
strategy.
that. Yeah, interesting to see that strategy. And just one last thing on the ballast. The drivers, there have been 10 drivers that have received ballast in the last couple of races, and those 10 drivers are all in the top 14 of the championship standings. So the ballast, so just to show you that the guys that are getting the ballast are still in it with a championship, in the championship contention. So you know what, it's working out in the end, maybe not as well as some of the guys would have liked it, but next year certainly we'll be looking at possibly less. See Heineke then starting to stretch that gap on Venter there a little bit in second position. So Heineke has got the pace and now has got a fastest lap of 33.8 versus a 34.2 of our second place man. So Heineke, if he keeps it together, could see him go into the top spot with no challenge from Venter in second position. Most of the drivers now having done their pit stops.
Yeah, they're shaking off
position time as well, doesn't it? 1:33.8 is, I mean, I know the track is now in optimum conditions, but that's a blisteringly quick lap from Chris Heineke, right on sort of qualifying pole pace, and he would have been running light fuel for qualifying, obviously.
Now, Heineke definitely with some pace now. And I think, you know how it is when you start building up that confidence and you start feeling the car. And also, I think this is his first time in this car, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe he's now starting to get used to the car as well, having spent more time with it. And
well, he raced this last year. He was in the Porsche. He was in the Porsche last year. So it's a car
everybody was in the Porsche last year.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's always a good guess if you want to go like you pretend you know what you're talking about. He was in the Porsche, of course he was. But it's just quite interesting. What might also be happening was interesting listening to the commentators in the endurance race with SRO last night, is that like you've got to get back into your rhythm after pit stop, and the question was like how many laps do you need, and it's like none. You know, when you come out, you've got to be on it straight away as a pro driver. And some guys adapt to that a lot better. But it seems like Heineke has maybe taken a lap or two just to get himself settled. As we see LaRue getting past Van Zyl there. Nice to see the GTR. It's kind of unusual livery that he's got going there, but nice to see Leon LaRue. And this, I remember, in the Aston Martin last year. So he's gone Japanese this year. Oh, and looks like he's getting a love tap at the back there. That was running in really deep.
Very close.
He's actually running off there.
On the following corner, I think it just took his concentration away, didn't it? Because he made the mistake on the following corner and went deep, but he was tapped on the first, on the previous corner. It was like turn 70.
But that's that double right-hander. It's a right and a right again. So any little nudge you get there, it's a good old karting move. As the guy gets on the brakes, just give him a little tap so he just runs 5 meters deeper and the corner's yours. So I'm sure that is going to be looked at again. And if I was the driver ahead there, if I was Van Zyl, I would just give that position back and not have any hassles.
We're now looking at the Ferrari battling the GTR over there. These guys are really giving it all at the moment. And I'm checking out the comments in the YouTube stream over there. PWSR says, good to see the Godzilla out there. Not many of these Godzillas. We saw Jason Webb changing to the Mercedes-Benz from that Godzilla.
Which is surprising because it's a terrible car. I'm not. It's not. I love the Nissan GTR. Everyone does. It's a driver's car, isn't it? But in this sim, it's not one you want to pick, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's a little bit. It's better than the BMW, which you never see, but that's a really strange pick.
Nur Hendrik says that the delta for pit stop is about 1 minute and 30 seconds. So we know that now going into the pro race, 1 minute and 30 seconds is what you're looking at for a.
Does that include coffee?
Looks like it. Coffee and a sip of water. Coffee and biscuits just before you hit the track. As we go on board with Leon LaRue there now. It's so strange to see Leon LaRue in the Nissan though. We know he was in the Aston Martin before. And
I'd love to see a replay of that because, I mean, for us, that little run-in that we saw there with Van Zyl, I mean, that's what you would see in real racing, where you literally are like hooked to the tow bar of the car in front of you. So it was great to see. I just, from the view that we had, I don't know if he actually did nudge him or if Leon just got a big fright and missed his turn in and ran wide. But that was probably committed under braking from Van Zyl. He obviously feels like he's done nothing wrong because he's put his head down and he's opened up a nice little gap over Leon Leroux. So yeah, nice little battle.
There was enough time for him to collect it. He just outbraked himself. I think he was just trying to push his braking zone so far to try and make sure he held the place because he was under such pressure that he just made a genuine mistake, to be quite honest. I don't think that it would have affected him, apart from obviously giving him the fright, like you say.
No, but what I'm worried about is he's actually got the pass done by running into Leroux
in that corner, wasn't there? There was plenty of time, I think. I don't think that nudge actually forced him to brake late.
Yeah.
Well, guys, just an update on the battle for first position. Venter has caught up a little bit to Heineke. Heineke had a very slow lap in the last lap. I think he got caught up.
Might be traffic. Serradio.
Traffic, yeah, Serradio more than likely.
Yeah.
Serradio.
3 seconds he lost on that lap, though. He's got a substantial.
Venter flashing Serradio there to get out of the way. He's trying to get that first position and get within striking distance. Now getting some traffic. Serradio not that slow though. As he goes to the outside, Venter goes down the inside. Oh, no! Serradio turns in on Venter. Touches him. Hopefully no damage there, but Serradio spins out.
Okay.
I don't think he saw him there. That is an interesting turn of events.
Venter must have expected the gap to be left open as a back marker coming through, do you think?
No, but this is what irritates me. Last night we had a yellow AMG Merc in this endurance race. It was basically a moving chicane, and just putting his car in all the wrong places. He was nowhere in the race, lying in 35th position, and that for me is what Serradio needs to be aware of. We saw the flashing from Venter. It's not your battle, mate.
Yeah.
And it makes sense now. If Heineke lost 3 seconds, obviously Serradio is doing a really good job at filling up the racetrack here when he's in a battle with himself. So get out the way and concentrate on Jason Webb ahead of you and let the fast guys past,
No, that was almost catastrophic, and I think we would have had a lot to talk about tomorrow if Venter had been taken out by that move as we go back on board with Leon Leroux.
Well, I can tell you what I would have done if I was Venter. I would have sent him. Because I think you would have been fully within your rights. Seriously,
yeah.
Venter was actually very polite and backed out of it because he could have just continued on that line, which is probably what he should have done. But yeah. Anyway, apparently we're trying to promote safe pro racing here. But
yes.
For me, in cases like that, turn the guy around and get on with it.
And sadly for us, that gap now is back where it was, wasn't it? So Venter was sort of catching Heineke, and now it's back at sort of 4.5 seconds between the top two.
And it's helped Van Coller because he was down to 16, he's down to 14, but that'll also go back when he gets onto the back of Serradio. But maybe he'll improve by then.
To give you guys a bit of the Porsche, I mean, I think it really is a dominant display from Chris Heineke. I was sort of looking at him at the start. I know him as a driver. Driven against him quite a few times, and he is quick. But that Porsche, I would say, is a good half second slower on this circuit than the Bentley and the Ferrari that are pretty dominant here at Misano. So I'll be majorly surprised in the Pro Series. I know we've got a few Porsches that have dropped in, but I don't think it's with this round in mind, to be fair. So we'll see how well they fare in the Pro round.
And that's a nice little overtake from Jason Webb. We saw Leon Leroux just having a nightmare set of 2 corners, outbraked himself into the right-hander, lost his rhythm, and then ran deep into the next left-hander. And that's really gifted Jason Webb with a good overtake over there. So this was bunching up and turning into a nice little battle because Van Zyl in that Ferrari is just up ahead. So that's the next little battle for us to watch. There you can see it. Jason Webb's got him in his sights. So shame. Leon just having a couple of laps he'd probably want to forget.
Yeah, Jason Webb now in 9th position. He's just under second behind Van Zyl now, and that gap is closing up. Gerber just in front of him by another second. Jason Webb runs wide though. Runs wide deep into this section here, trying to push as hard as possible, I would imagine. But he's still in it though. Still in it.
And have a look, Gerber in that Honda NSX. We haven't spoken about him much. He's just up ahead. So this is what we love. 10 minutes to go, and we've got a really good battle to check out because Heineke has checked out in front. He's opened that gap to over 5 seconds now. So, I think 6 seconds, the way things stand at the moment, that's your top 3. But we've got a really nice little battle for 7th that's brewing. And Jason Webb, good comeback drive after his drive-through penalty for causing that incident on the opening lap. And then obviously running into the back of Van Zyl, I think it was early on. So, yeah, he's it was actually in the Bentley, so he's actually done really well.
And for Van Zyl, it'll be the race that could have been, wouldn't it? 'Cause he's been all over the place. He's been at the sharp end of the grid and at the back end. He's been flipped round. He's trying to fight his way through traffic. He certainly had an entertaining afternoon. And he'll have lots to talk about later on when he settles down and just sort of goes through the race in his mind of what was involved, because he's been everywhere.
Well, I think Jason Webb's going to be thinking about this overtake move, because the last time he ran into Van Zyl, literally, it cost him a drive-through penalty. So interesting to see. Interesting to see his approach here. But knowing Jason Webb, it's going to be full send.
Got nothing to lose now in the Pro-Am series.
Might as well get another drive-through. Might as well get another drive-through. Added to the list. Will Jason Webb, 9th position. He's got his top 10 finish. He's just behind Van Zyl. Van Zyl elbows out, and as they go into the next lap now, through this complex section of here, Van Zyl right in front of him, just in front of him, Gerber in the Honda, Jason running very wide there, and I think we're going to see an overtaking attempt very soon as we go on board. Fantastic camera angle here. How did they manage to stick that GoPro on there without causing issues with the stewards, eh?
No, in the old days, there was a cameraman that was hanging on for dear life. They don't make them like they used to, eh?
A la Le Mans, the movie, isn't it?
Amazing. No, I promise you, that's just legendary stuff. It's worth the watch. But
Porsche actually got involved there with that and said that they would put one of their cars up in that race. And they actually had the race during the camera car, during the actual race. And Porsche was involved. I mean, there was mad times.
No, the interesting thing
bit of a nudge there. Oh, the Ferrari
turned him around.
Van Zyl turns him around. Oh no, Jason Webb, the big winner here, gets both positions. Van Zyl waits. And the NSX stranded there. Jason Webb, the big winner.
Well done. Well done.
7th position.
Yeah, so Van Zyl, that's good to see. He's actually realized he made a mistake, ran into the back, and we waited for the NSX. But you're right, it's played to Jason Webb's favor big time. Wow, proper little tangle, the guys getting caught up. And that's, I suppose, the first time we haven't seen 3 cars coming together in the corner like that. And I suppose that's the difference between the Pro-Ams and the Pros. The guys tend to fall over each other in those situations. But yeah, just to go back to your story, you must actually read Paul Newman's biography, because he was meant to race. And in that race, and the movie house said, listen, there's too much invested in this, and if anything happens to you. But that is exactly, they rigged the car to put proper 8mm cameras in the front, so all the onboard footage there is real, legitimate in the race. And you know, you go look at the movies now today, and you can just know it's CGI crap, and none of it's been developed, but those sequences are real. And the interesting thing is, I mean, David Piper, he actually lost his leg in the filming of Le Mans. They were doing stunts, and I mean, we've met David Piper a few times with
legend.
The historic race that obviously the guys run at Swartcroft St. Killarney as well, coming up now in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, they lost his leg in that movie, and interesting that, you know, he was kind of looked after by Paul, is what the story goes, because he wasn't paid out for that, you know. So those were brave racing drivers in those days.
Yeah, exactly. In a time where racing was dangerous and we know what was safe. Different times. Otto in 5th position there in the Aston Martin, looking good in delivery. You know, one of the major Fenter's down there, 9 seconds from Heineke at the moment. So Heineke
that race is done
at the moment.
Yeah, our top 3 is done, Ernest. I think it's these are the fun little battles to watch. 5 minutes ago, we saw what happened with the last one. They're tripping all over each other. But Wentworth has looked good in that Aston, and running onto the back of a fellow Aston. You're right, the livery on that looks proper.
And we got a note from the stewards to say that Venter and Serradio incident earlier is under investigation. We've got to think that's only Serradio's to blame there, isn't he? He needs to get out of the way for Venter as a back marker.
I hope, yeah.
Venter's got a 5-second penalty, though.
Well, number 42's got a 5-second penalty.
Oh, I'm sort of I'm going to be another bad cop with Marius here. I'm starting to think that Serradio needed to just get out of the way.
No, you know what? That's just my blood pressure's already gone up. If they're starting with this crap already, I mean, it's an obvious thing. The first rule in racing is blue flags. You are not involved in the battle. Get out of the way. Where would he have actually liked Fenter to have gone? When he's gone and run wide,
open as well.
100%. 100%. It was an invite, and then let me turn in. And we keep hearing about you've got your proximity sensor, so you know the guy's there. Come on, that is. Sorry,
that's the gap between second and third is 5 seconds. The gap between second and third is 11 seconds, so it shouldn't affect the order. But yeah, I think you guys are going to have an interesting conversation tomorrow night.
It doesn't
I
matter,
was though, in that situation, I would do exactly what he would have done. I would have seen the door slightly left open, think to myself, oh, back marker, thank you very much, I'll take it.
Exactly.
And then it's closed in on you. If it was with any other car for position, 100% you wouldn't be going for that move. But he was thinking he's passing a back marker.
Daniel, I'm agreeing with you. I mean, that's exactly how you look at it. You saw him flashing. We knew there was an incident before, obviously, because Heineken lost a hell of a lot of time trying to get past Sorodio as well. So, yeah, for me, that's a little bit frustrating. And it just, anyway, I just get annoyed because you need to look at things in context. So, like I said,
he's got a penalty. He just needs to make sure that doesn't get to him because, like as Ernest said, 5 seconds doesn't mean anything. The positions will stay the same as they are with 11-second gap back to Van Coller. But if it gets under your skin, it just irritates you a little bit. You think, well, I don't think I deserve that 5 seconds, and you suddenly lose another 5 seconds just fuming under your helmet.
Well, I love it. Avoidable contact while passing a lapped car. Are you kidding? Get out of the way, the lapped car. That is what you really should be doing. And I think that is a lesson we want to teach to everybody that's watching, whether you're new to sim racing or new to real racing. I mean, that is crucial, is what the back markers need to do. It's
like you've going for it around the outside there.
I think he's running out of fuel. Because Otto doesn't look like he's really doing anything. Have a look. He's just backed out of it completely. That's interesting.
Well, someone that we didn't mention is Riddell in 4th position in the Ferrari. 4th position for him. I think this is one of his best finishes yet. And we were just bad-mouthing his dad, who's our steward. So so I'll say something nice about the Riddell family. Nice to see our man Clinton Riddell there in 4th position in the White Rabbit Gaming car, taking it home with 2.5 minutes to go.
I'd love to be Wayne's son. Can you imagine the debates we'd have at the dinner table? We'll be throwing peas. We'll be throwing peas at each other. Because we definitely wouldn't be 2 peas in a pod.
Well, he's in 4th position now, 2 seconds behind a car that he needs to lap. So I don't think we're going to see much shuffling of the deck as we make our way through the last section. Jason Webb, the big loser, but now the big winner in 7th position. Well done to him for making it all the way through to 7th position. Leon Leroux in 8th in the GTR. Gerber in 9th in the first and only Honda that I'm seeing over here. Van Zyl making up the top 10. Van Zyl also losing out quite a bit there, but the top 3 guys pretty much the same, and that's if our 2nd place man, Fent, the gap has dropped down to 10 seconds, but Fent is still with 5 seconds in hand. Or 11, no, it's still 11 seconds, I apologize. Fent is still with 5 seconds in hand.
Yeah, our top 3 is done and dusted. But I mean, it's quite interesting to have a look. You're saying how well Clinton's doing and probably his best race result. But our top 3 really have run away with it, because have a look, the gap from 3rd to 4th, I think, is like 30 seconds. So they really have been in a class of their own. And I mean, going on to the last lap now, Chris Heineken has done a fantastic job back in the Porsche. And I think for me, just managed his race perfectly, got the great start, made sure his nose was clean, dominated the first corner, and after that he could just get about setting up his rhythm and putting in good consecutive laps, and he's done that. So great result for him.
Yeah, fantastic result. And I think we're seeing a lot of guys here that are doing things that they haven't done before, getting results they haven't gotten before. And you know, if there's one good thing that this fact that we've got 2 categories, that's number 1. And number 2, the ballast is shuffling things up quite a bit, and you're seeing some names at the top of the order that weren't necessarily there, and that gives you confidence and that gives you sort of motivation for the next round. It's really nice to see some of the guys out there that have not necessarily gotten good results now starting to get those podiums and those top 5 positions.
Oh, dude, remember last year, you know, when you chat to some of the guys who were racing in Pro-Ams and you saw their growth, their curve over the season, and when they finally make it to pros, I mean, it's just awesome that Stoke. So it's good that we are broadcasting the Pro-Ams too, because I think it just incentivizes the guys more. They all like to see their names on the stream screen and get commentators talking about them. But it's about developing talent, and ATK Pro Series did that last year and is doing it again this year. It's amazing.
And there's quick guys in Pro-Am Series. Let's not sort of go against it. You got Chris Heineken. He's a very quick driver. I mean, he takes the win quite comfortably, but I mean, he could have been a little bit upset because the reason why he was put back was actually he wasn't in the bottom 5, but it was because there was drivers in with ballast that actually pushed him into that bottom 5. But he's just put his head down, gone into the Pro-Am series, think, no, I'm going to show him what I can do, and he really has shown it. He just led from start to finish.
Well, Chris Heineke gets first position. Fenter, even with a penalty, still gets second. Van Coller zigging and zagging across the line, gets third place. We've got Riddell now coming through in fourth position. A lovely shuffling of the deck. Some fantastic new faces near the top of the field, and a fantastic race with some action all around. So look forward to our incident report tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about then. This is the end of the Pro-Am category, folks. We'll be right back after this short break, and then we'll be jumping straight into results and, of course, the Pro category as we watch Riddell make his way across the line. What a fantastic race from him. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the ATK Pro Series brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. We'll see you guys after this break. And we are back, folks, and that is what it looks like. That's what the top 3 looks like. Richard Van Coller in third position. He does have the name of a racing driver, doesn't he? In third position, maybe I'm thinking of Richard Riddell. Gets third position there. Van Coller
he's also driving a boat. I mean, if you remember, Richard Riddell was in a Volvo station wagon, British touring car.
That really was a boat.
Legendary. I mean, what a cool bloody car. But you're right. That was a good result, eh? And Daniel, you called it, saw he was getting involved in stuff way early, lap 2, and opted for the early pit. So well done.
It worked out well for him, didn't it? I think it maybe wouldn't work quite so well in the Pro Series, a few more cars on track, but it worked out well for him.
Well, Daniel, you seem to be calling it. P. Fenter in second position. We got Richard Van Coller in third there. But Heineke, you mentioned earlier on, you said that he would do well, and that's exactly what he did. But we've got interviews coming up now, and we're going to be chatting to our top 3 guys. And man, what a race it was! I'm so interested.
Victory. We haven't seen that all year.
We haven't seen that in a while. We have not seen that in a while.
Spray the champagne.
I'm kind of glad that we didn't, though, because I was getting a bit tired of all those Porsche wins last year.
No, 100%. I mean, and bringing in the change midway through, we spoke about it during the race. Some guys have opted to make that change. I think it's really cool because there's a lot of strategy now involved. Definitely the guys are going to be sitting after hours and putting in laps at the tracks and having made that decision now, knowing that these are the tracks that are coming up and what cars are going to work for them. So it's just good to see the mixing up and the shuffling of the decks, because for most drivers, they commit to a car and that's basically your car for the season. So pretty cool to be able to have a multiple car garage. So well done. Good to see a Porsche back to the top of the podium.
Fantastic to see a Porsche back at the top of the podium. And going forward, it's going to be interesting to see how these cars now perform. We've been talking about it all season. And we've been talking about how these different, the changes that Assetto Corsa has made, how they're going to feel about it, how the cars are going to feel at different circuits. And from what Daniel's saying, the Porsche is going to be fantastic at Kyalami, our home circuit. So building up towards that. And Donington. So building up towards that, well done for Heineke for making the switch. And quite a few drivers have made that switch going into the next couple of rounds.
Yeah, we're interested to hear. We'll probably, if we can get an interview with Heineke, we'll actually ask him the question like, what he only needed a top 5 for this one. Did he pick the Porsche for the next 2 rounds, or did he pick it for this one as well? I suspect Kyalami, I'm telling you now, is a Porsche track. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's owned by Porsche, it should be, but it still is. Even with the changes in the game and the meta changing, that Porsche is pretty dominant around Kyalami. So that's why we're seeing a few Porsches just crop back into the field.
Yeah. We've got Chris Heineke in the Porsche now. We've got Francois de Villiers in the Porsche. A couple of other names popping up here on my list.
And Jason as well, Abschmeyer. So he's gone in.
He's one to watch in those last couple of rounds, Jason Abschmeyer in the Porsche. That's definitely been picked with those 2 rounds especially in mind.
Yeah, Charles Wilkin also gone back to the Porsche.
Yeah, Charles Wilkin's also back in the Porsche.
Hey.
And Jason Abschmeyer, as mentioned, Leslie Oliphant also back
to the Porsche.
And Wesley Hampson. That's very interesting. We didn't see
the Lexus is gone. Yeah.
Oh, and he's the guy that he literally. I feel like he sold that Lexus. I feel like it was his car. You know when you hear your friend that's like obsessed with a brand sell the car, get something totally different. That's what it feels like because he was obsessed with that car, and
he's got a Lexus dealership now.
Here we go. Quick interviews now, and we got our first man up. Is Van Coller, the man whose name sounds like a race car driver's name, Richard Van Coller. Van Coller, how was your race and how does it feel to get a podium position? Is this your first podium in the ATK Pro Series?
Hi guys. No, I've had a podium before last season.
Okay, lekker.
This race was a little bit tricky. I got bumped in turn 2, in lap 2 I think, and it unsettled the car a little bit, so I just decided to pit. I hoped the tires would last till the end, but the average pace was pretty much the same, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that was quite a cool strategy. Daniel in commentary said that maybe that's what you were going to do, and just time to regroup, get a clear track ahead of you, and set about putting in some good lap times. But I mean, in the real world, the Bentley, surprisingly for being a big boat, is actually really good on tires. So it seems like it's the same in a Assetto Corsa as well. But great race, well done.
I must be honest, I had a stream up at the back, so when there was an incident at the back, I heard safety car somewhere, but I didn't know where. And
we spooked you. You just dive in, let's go for us, just in case. You've got to get
I stayed out another lap.
Yeah, but
don't listen to the commentators. Don't listen to the commentators.
Never listen to the commentators.
Yeah, so I stayed up another lap.
You enjoyed that clear track, didn't you? You just sort of get your head down. You didn't have anyone to bother you, and we were just keeping an eye on your times and just thinking, well, hold on a minute. When everyone else pits, he's going to jump right up the leaderboard, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I stayed up a lap longer because I was a bit confused where it came from, and I saw the safety car still in the pit, and then I checked my dams at the back. It was a little bit too much to handle. The car got a little bit loose, so I just decided to pit. But yeah, it was a nice one. A little bit lonely, but yeah, I think the traffic.
I'm sorry that it's lonely on the podium, Richard. The podium can be a very lonely place, at least for the top 3. So well done on your second podium in the Pro Series. And congratulations for bringing the Bentley home in 3rd position. We'll see you at the next race. Once again, congratulations. That was the first of the Bentleys on the podium. Paul Venter also in the Bentley in 2nd position. And I definitely think that this was the first time we see 2 Bentleys on the podium. But we've got Heineke now in 1st position. Chris Heineke. I'm going to hand this one over to Daniel. Daniel, I know you've got some questions for Chris. I can't believe you called this one again. I'm starting to get annoyed, Daniel. But Chris Heineke, congratulations on the win. I'm going to hand this over to Daniel now. I know he's got some questions for you with regard to that Porsche. Fantastic drive.
Yeah, congratulations, Chris. Before the race started, I was looking down the names, and obviously I'm very, very familiar with you. I've been racing against you for a little while, and just thought, this is a quick guy out of position, and probably a little bit upset that you're in the Pro-Am series and you came and just bossed it, mate. So congratulations. How did that go for you?
Oh, guys, thanks, man. Yeah, no, it was a great, solid drive, I would say. Didn't have any real issues and stuff like that. So yeah, not too bad.
And the other question we had was, you were obviously one of the drivers that changed vehicles, and you chose the Porsche. Was that with this round in mind, or are you thinking further down the line when you get back up into the Pro Series?
Well, I was thinking further down the line when I'm getting back into the Pro. So, I mean, I knew the Porsche was quick. I've used it in a 24-hour on Kyalami as well, so I know the pace is there. So I said basically this is a bogey round. The Porsche doesn't like this track too much, to be honest. But yeah, so I made it work here, and then hopefully at Donington and at Kailami it will work.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few drivers that have picked the Porsche, and I suspected with Donington and especially Kailami in mind. So you just had to get that top 5, which you had comfortably with your pole position, and yeah, flag to flag race. So very well done, Chris. You really showed how to get it done.
Thank you. Yeah, no, cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, no, the plan was to get pole, and then just basically just stay out of trouble, get out the head, build a bit of a gap, and then just cruise it hopefully. So and everything worked out. So yeah, every time I center caught up a bit, then I'll just extend it back up again, and then just sit there and just basically just manage the pace.
Bit of a boring race for you in the end, really, but you enjoyed it, no doubt, and now you're back where you belong in the pro round for the next round in Donington. So thanks so much for showing us how it's done, Chris. Good luck in the next round.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks for hosting.
Chris Heineke, they're cool, calm, and cool heads prevail. As Chris
I had to
Heineke
bite my
takes the
tongue,
win.
eh?
Why's that?
I was going to ask him when he said it was boring out front. I said, what was it like passing the Ferrari of Serodia?
Oh,
Just
no,
to
you
kind
keep
of-
that one for tomorrow. Keep that one for tomorrow.
I just wanted his answer.
Well, what a fantastic race. What a fantastic race. We've got the race standings over there. Chris Heineke, as we said, in first position. Paul Venter in second position. We're going to be starting the pro division soon, guys. And what are you guys' thoughts on what's going to happen next? The big boys are out to play. Do you think the lap times are going to be faster,
100%.
slower? Yeah, what's that, Daniel?
I suspect we're going to be getting into the 132s. I mean, the real life track record for this track is 132.6 in an Audi, but we're going to be there in the Ferrari and the Bentley. The times will be substantially quicker. We're not going to see a Porsche win. That's my prediction.
True. Marius, your thoughts before we go to break?
Time for coffee.
Time for coffee it is, folks. We'll see you guys after the break. Nice one.
I've seen wild, wild things, tricks upon the eye.
And we're back for round 4 at Misano. This is the pro division of the ATK Pro Series. My name is Ernest Page, and this is, of course, the Premier Cup when it comes to online motorsport in South Africa, sanctioned by MSA and sponsored by Kyalami 9 Hour. We've got Coach Dave Academy on board, but this event would not be possible without Mercedes-Benz backing, and it's so fantastic to have a big manufacturer such as Mercedes-Benz seeing the value in sim racing and seeing the value in supporting some up-and-coming talent. We were just talking about how fast these guys are in the sim world, and some of them migrating to the real world, some of them migrating from, and some of them playing in between. But of course, this is round 4 at Misano, and I'm joined today by Daniel Haynes. We've just watched the Pro-Am category. Marius Roberts will be joining us shortly. And Daniel, I'm still reeling from that race, the Pro-Am race. The guys were, I don't think, as fast as we're going to see today, but certainly a fantastic showing by the Pro-Am guys. And that's the list of names we saw competing earlier on. But wow, what a race. 2 Bentleys on the podium we just saw. 2 Bentleys on the podium, and it's just exciting stuff. The circuit really does make for exciting racing.
They were super clean, weren't they, Pro-Am? A little bit like Alton Park. They were sort of clean, quite sort of nice to each other. There was not that many incidents. And I don't think we're going to see that in the Pro Series. These guys don't give literally an inch, whereas we saw more than an inch being given in the Pro-Am. So it's going to be super interesting. I think the times are going to be quite a bit quicker in this Pro Series. I'm expecting pole lap time in the mid 132s, depending on track conditions, obviously. But yeah, which is a good second and a half quicker than we had in Pro-Am. But you're right, we're talking off air about how good these drivers are. If anyone's in doubt, just check some of these lap times. Go, if you've got ACC, have a go yourself and just see how damn quick they are. They really are the quickest sim drivers in South Africa.
Yeah, well, at the top of the log there is one of the quickest. That's Jordan Shedder, one of the ATK drivers in the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3 Evo, the latest version of the Mercedes-Benz. And some say a car that is sensationally fast, and it certainly has been over the last couple of rounds. But the Porsches now, and that's our second place man over there, Jason Abschmeyer, flying the flag in that 2019 Porsche, which we just saw won the Pro-Am category. So a very fast Porsche. In second position there. There's going to be some ballast. There's going to be some interesting factors. And the man that's benefited the most is our third place man in the championship, JC Grobler, as we see the next list of names. And another name that's going to be interesting is Wesley Hampson, who's just changed from the Lexus also to the Porsche. And you were talking about this earlier on, Daniel, is that some of the guys are changing cars mid-season and they are lining themselves up for the finale and for the final round, which takes place now. We've got Donington next, and of course the South African round, Kyalami, where the Porsche should excel. And this is a championship, isn't it? This is about who does best over the entire duration of a championship, not just over a lap.
Yeah, totally, Ernest. I wasn't surprised. There wasn't a huge amount of the top drivers changing cars. They got familiar with their car. We didn't expect to see a massive change, but there's some very interesting ones, and it's 100% got strategy in mind. We've got Jason Abschmeyer gone for the Porsche. He's thinking of the next 2 rounds. He's not thinking about today. But we've got one that I'm very interested to see how it goes. Daniel Rowe has changed the McLaren 720S, and I think he's done it with this round in mind. He's thinking, I want to kickstart my season at Misano. Need to get up that leaderboard. He's going to be pushing is Daniel Rowe. Keep an eye out for him. The other one, JC Grobler, Ferrari 488. He's my favourite. That car is quick round here. He's lost his ballast. He's going to make up for Alton Park.
JC Grobler, of course.
Sorry, just quickly before we run to ads, just what you're saying there on Daniel. Remember, Daniel and Tariq are teammates. So they've done the switcheroo. Tariq was running the McLaren and Daniel was running the Bentley. They've now swapped. So the setup is kind of known between the 2 teammates. So I predicted that right in the beginning of the season. And I said, I wonder if they're not going to go and do that. Where you've got a team scenario, it allows you quite easy to then benefit from the hard work your teammates done in the previous rounds.
So we might see some team tactics, but we'll have to wait for this short break. And after that, go straight into qualifying.
Yeah.
speaking of De Wet, earlier on, we mentioned him earlier, he's in the Bentley at the moment. We saw 2 Bentleys on the podium in our Pro-Am division, and now on board with yet another one. It's going to be interesting, a massive shuffling of the decks here. Some of the guys trying new cars, but also, Daniel, one of my favorite drivers here, JC Grobler, I think in practice he was on pace. He was right in front there. Another driver that was on pace is Charles Wilkin. JC Grobler leading the pack off in the front. He came out the pits first. He wants to get that banker lap in, and off he goes. The car looking very good. They're similar to the colors of the Rinaldi racing car that David Peddle drives. David Peddle, of course, involved with us here in the ATK Pro Series, providing setups and coaching to the drivers of the ATK Pro Series.
Yeah, shame he had a horrible day yesterday. Didn't get to do a lap. His teammate Heatez got taken out by a rejoining Audi right first lap, and broke rear suspension. That was the end of their race. So, yeah, not a good weekend for David Perel. I was looking forward to seeing what he could do around Paul Ricard, because he spends a lot of time there virtually and for real. Yeah. So, pity. I love the livery. Jason was online. He was online doing a bit of teasing and saying, listen, he's crap at taking photographs in game, but this is his livery. And I just love that mouth on the front end. And he's super cool. And I think maybe it's like a prediction. You guys were talking about it. These guys, especially Jason, will be known. I've got ballast. Let's forget about this round, but Kyle Army. And I think that's kind of what he's showing the guys. I'm going to eat you Pac-Man style.
One of the things that I saw in practice is that I'm not sure if the ballast, and I could be completely off here, but I'm not sure if the ballast affects the cars as much as it does in the other circuits. And we'll have to wait and see, because we've always been saying that, it shouldn't affect them in the wet, and it has. But I'm keen to see how Abschmeyer does here, how Sherrod does here, and all the other gentlemen that got ballast at the last race. JC Grobler was one of those that didn't get ballast. So JC Grobler should be right at the tip of the spear as we make our way into the next minute of qualifying, 11 minutes of qualifying remaining.
I think it'll have a massive effect, 80 kilos, especially through that sort of section, turn 12, 13, 14 through there.
That double right-hander complex, you're going to be sure. I mean, we talk about there where physics are taking the car left, but the track's taking you right. So you go and add a bit of gravity with an extra 80 kilograms onto that, and things are going to get very ugly. But it's interesting. I mean, we've been mucking around with like solutions on ballast and things you could fiddle around with. And I mean, there was even the talk of during qualifying, you take the ballast out, so the guy ends up putting himself realistically where he would be without the ballast in qualifying, and then in the race you dump him with all the weight, because then it makes for some interesting racing, because you basically have a fast driver in a slow car starting at the sharp end of the grid. So I know in series guys sit and fiddle and play with that. GTC was racing here in PE yesterday. They did a 30-minute reverse grid and took away push to pass, which was like a little bit silly because the cars are so similar, no one could pass. But there's lots of fun and games you can have just to ensure that the racing remains tight. But we don't have to muck around too much with the ATK Pro Series. The changes that have been made this year have really built things up for a grandstand finish when we get to Kyle Army at the end of the year, middle of the year.
Leslie Oliphant there in the Porsche in third position, and also back in a Porsche now is Leslie Oliphant. It is nice to see him in that familiar car and with that familiar badge on the nose. Oliphant was very fast last year, always improving, wasn't he, Marius? Getting faster over the course of the season, and now I'm seeing back in the Porsche. I think a lot of these guys are going to get quicker over the rest of the season, but someone that is still quick and going fast is JC Grobler. Look at him in first position with a 33.6. Already the guys in the 33s of qualifying just started. Charles Wilkin there taking first place. Charles Wilkin does a 33.3 and gets first place.
How nice must it be to just go and have this crash diet? JC was overweight big time when we were playing at Alton Park, and now you come to Misano having dumped 80 kg. So I think you'll be looking forward to a Ferrari that stops and turns.
I wish I could dump 80 kgs in a couple of weeks. That would be quite nice, wouldn't it? But I think that the track's only fast, it's not optimum, so it's giving the Porsche a chance, because there definitely is not the quickest car on this circuit. The Ferrari and the Bentley should easily be able to get into the 32s, but it all depends on the track conditions, and the track conditions at the moment is not optimal. It's only as a fast track, so just holding back maybe a good half second, it's just holding these cars back.
And
Yeah,
we're also
Morgan.
seeing Jordan do what he normally does. I know sometimes he goes and puts a bank in early, but it looks like he's playing the waiting game at the moment to set his lap time. So interesting to see what the Merc does, because Daniel, I mean, I haven't obviously played this. I haven't played ACC. I don't know the track in the game, so it doesn't look like Merc is a favourite car here either. So interesting to see what your thoughts are on that.
Well, Merc's just a good all-rounder everywhere, I think. It doesn't. It's just one of those cars that you can just get some sort of a result anywhere. Obviously, it dominated in the wet in Alton Park. It was supreme. But it's always there or thereabouts. Is the Mercedes.
Well, so far the guys that have got ballast, Jason Abschmeyer and Jordan Shedden. Let's have a look. Isherwood as well was our third place man last year. Abschmeyer down in 16th position.
Is he not starting from the pits?
And Jordan Shedden in 24th at the moment with no lap set. So far the ballast certainly affecting the guys. I'll be keen to see how this plays out with 7.5 minutes to go. Charles Wilkin in second position. JC Grobler in third position. T. Adam doing well there. And lots of new names now in the mix here as we head into the rest of this qualifying.
Well, it goes with Daniel's call that the Bentley would be stronger, because I think if we've got Tariq sitting in with the fastest lap time at the stage, and we know when he was in the McLaren, he was pretty much running top 10. So he's made the change. Daniel obviously would have done a lot of the setup on the Bentley, having raced that first, and now they've swapped around. So yeah, he's on the pace straight away, and it seems to what we have seen in the Pro-Am with two Bentleys on the podium. It does look like it's a good track for the car, which is kind of bizarre. It's a fast and flowing bike track, and yeah, you've got a boat, and I'm like, it just doesn't make sense.
Exactly. T. Adam, really unbelievable performance by him so far, because we've never seen him this high up the grid. So Tariq Adam looking very good in the number 99 car there. As we go on board with Jordan Shedden now, look at the size of that nostril on the front of that Mercedes-Benz, looking very fast. He makes his way now towards the start-finish line, and let's see how he goes in the order. Jordan Shedden right to the back now, and it'll be interesting to see. He goes all the way up to 8th position. Not bad. 6th position. Not bad for Jordan Shedden. After
and he's running weight.
He's running weight. He got 2nd position last year, so that puts him on, I think, 60 Ks. So there you go, 60 Ks. But this is Jordan Shedden. He's got that championship mindset. Another person that got a result last week was leading and doing well was McCall, Junior McCall.
But he sulked in the pits, remember?
Yeah, he ended up right at the back. He's currently in 12th position, but Tariq Adams still in first place. Charles Wilkin, nice to see Charles Wilkin. I'd like to see Charles Wilkin get a win here at some stage. I mean, he's always in the mix, but just wasn't able to solidify very many good results over the course of the last 2 seasons. So it'll be nice to see him doing well here as he qualifies currently in 2nd position with 5 minutes to go.
Well, look, Junior Daniel Rowe on circuit, are we? So that's really interesting. The one guy I was after to try and check, I can't find him. He's not on the server. So
who are you talking about?
Daniel Rowe.
Daniel. Yeah, I'll message him. Maybe he's having a Sunday off with mom and dad. But what's interesting, I mean, Junior needs a good race weekend, because it really wasn't a good outing for him in Alton Park. On the other hand, his brother, I thought, had an exceptional drive at Alton Park. He really did put a good race together. So yeah, he's got a lot to make up for, because he needs a strong result here.
Well, the McCalls will just be hoping not for a safety car, because that's just what destroyed their last round. So anything, if you can be any sniff of a safety car, those McCall guys will be going across the circuit.
Well, we know what to do. It nearly happened in the Pro-Am. We were just laughing about safety car when there was an incident on the first lap, and you heard Richard van Carlo heard the stream in the background and started heading for the pits for safety car for strategy. So yeah, but I mean, I think they've learned their lesson, and that's what we're talking about. There's a big jump up, you know, if you actually are playing in these endurance type series, where it's not just you driving in a 50-minute sprint race. It's a little bit different. You start realizing the calls that you need to make, and you've got to make those quickly, and that's why a lot of the guys have their spotters and their strategists that will sit and help them to make those calls, because there's a lot for you to do. To pilot a car at breakneck speeds around the Misano circuit and then still try and make a strategy calls, so they won't make that mistake again.
We just lost visuals on Brian Lewis there, one of the only Audis on the grid, and after last year's season we saw quite a few Audis taking part, and he's improving by 3
here in real life, doesn't it? So it's nice to see an Audi on circuit.
He's up by 0.2 seconds, goes from 10th place to 8th, does Lewis in the Audi. So the Audi flying the flag there in 8th position currently, the first of the Audis, and the only one that I can see on the list here, Wesley Hampson, unfortunately right at the back of the field, probably getting used to that Porsche over there. And JC Krobler looking good in 3rd position so far, gets across the line. Let's see if he can improve. JC Krobler in 3rd position currently.
What a nice split. Bentley, Porsche, Ferrari, Porsche, Bentley, and that's a great lap time by Jordan in a ballast heavy Mercedes-Benz. So well
We're going
done.
to get better though, because we've got the track conditions gone to optimum. So there's track progression. So we're expecting. I want to see a car into the 132s. We saw it in practice. So track progression is definitely a thing in ACC, and the time should come down towards the end of this session.
Hall goes into 7th position. A bunch of guys improving now, so lots of shuffling happening at the moment with Tariq Adams still in 1st position. Charles Wilkin there in 2nd place, and Charles Wilkin looking very good out there at the moment. Currently just a little bit down though, so he's not going to improve on his current lap. Junior McCall down in 14th position.
There's the up. He's 3/10 up, so
yeah,
could be one to watch out for.
Junior McCall up by 0.8 of a second at the moment, but he's got to string together this lap. He's got to make sure he gets across the finish line.
He's got to, because he's running with no weight. So to find a Junior McCall sitting in 14th isn't right. His brother in 10th. But yeah, these are the sessions now, 2 minutes to go, that actually really count. So
Junior McCall goes
let's have a look.
14th to 5th position, does McCall. Junior McCall.
That's great.
And Junior McCall, whether you've had, whatever you think about him, he's the youngest guy in the grid. The kid is like under 13 years old. He's got my support regardless, because he's still developing, still learning. And I think we haven't seen all we can from any of the McCall brothers, especially not Junior. So let's watch him. He's already now another 10th of a second up, so still in the mix there. This is Deploy now making his way around the final corner in 7th position. Will he go up? Deploy gets to 5th.
Yeah, great.
Deploy gets 5th place.
That's very good. And we see Kieran Patterson also setting a good time in the Bentley, sitting there in 7th. And then Bruno in the McLaren in 8th, Aldo in the Lambo. So we've got a really nice split of cars in our top 10. And that I think we're going to be in for a cracker race. And I really do hope that our officials are standing by, because I think there's going to be some people tripping over each other today, because the conditions are perfect.
I literally giggled there, Marius, because I think what we're going to see is we're seeing a lot of guys improving their laps all the time. And when you've got a group of guys that are constantly improving in qualifying, you see that happen and have an effect in the race as well, because people are getting faster, they're dialing in more, the competitive element kicks in. So Ecoat as well, improving there from 16th position to 15th. So these guys are really upping the ante now with just 40 seconds to go.
Here, I think. Probably could get pole. He's 4/10 up on his lap, and the track progression is a massive thing here as he comes through the final corner. 3/10 up is all he needs. This could be enough from go to 3rd to 1st.
Oh, wow. JC Krobler takes bated breath.
Oh, it's killing me.
Oh, he still gets 3rd. He still got 3rd. He doesn't go up. He must have made a mistake.
Invalidated lap from Grob.
Invalidated lap.
He was on it.
Well, he's still got time. He's still in on his lap. T. Adams still in 1st position. JC Krobler is ever so slightly up at the moment. The qualifying is still open, and JC Krobler up 1/10 of a second now, but he needs to maintain that. And I'm trying to see who else is up here. We've got 18th position, man. The Vesh up by half a second. 12th place up. 17th position up. Everybody's getting faster, guys. But JC Krobler's the one. Yeah.
But have a look. I mean, our top 15 all within a second. That is epic racing. That's brilliant. I mean, yeah, blink and you lose it, So this is really what you want to see right at the end of a qualifying session. The track in prime condition, and the guys really maximizing lap time. You don't want to make a mistake now, because it's going to cost you.
Yeah, JC Krobler unfortunately dropping down ever so slightly, still within striking distance, so he might be able to do something. He needs just 0.5 of a second or so to make a difference. He's got everything to play for, does JC Krobler. Kieran Patterson, we've got eyes on him now in 7th position. JC Krobler goes back up again. He needs to get that 10th of a... Oh, it's so close. It's so tight. Kieran Patterson in 7th position. But like you said, Marius, look at the gap between these drivers. It is ever so close. But I don't think JC Krobler is going to do anything about it. That's it. I think things will stay as is pretty much for most of the drivers at the moment. Nobody's up. Kieran Patterson is ever so slightly up. JC Grobler gets sideways. Kieran across the line stays in 7th position, unfortunately. And I think that's going to be it from us for qualifying.
This is awesome. This is awesome for Tariq Adams to put that Bentley on pole. It's a brilliant lap time. Well done.
Fantastic stuff. Tariq Adams gets 1st position for the first time. We'll see you guys after the break. And we are live once again. And look at that. Tariq Adam in 1st position. It's the first time for everything. And it's first time for him seeing the front of the field. And that feeling, Marius, of sitting on pole position and seeing nothing but tarmac in front of you, it's one of the best feelings in the world, isn't it?
Well, we saw what Chris Heineke did in the Pro-Am race. Get a good start and just get your nose into the right-hander first and let the carnage happen behind you. And I think that's all Tariq's got to sort out now, is this: he's got the pace, get a clean start, because I can tell you now, guys are going to fall over each other. At that type of track where it's quite difficult because there is no one perfect line, it's fast and flowing, everything links up, being a bike circuit, so very easy for guys to make those sort of mistakes. So if Tariq gets a good start here, I promise you, he can open up a nice little gap while the guys are sitting and battling behind him. So that's I know it's not, we were speaking about in the Pro-Am, it's not Monza where it's all important, but man, it's going to make a big difference.
Oh, it's going to make a massive difference. And this is one of those places where overtaking is possible, as mentioned earlier on. And Daniel, you were saying some of these corners, well, many of these corners are overtaking opportunities. And with these guys being so closely matched in qualifying, I think we're going to see a lot of attempts.
Yeah, we saw plenty of passes in the Pro-Am race, didn't we? And there was only 17 cars on track. So we got 25 or 26 cars now. We're going to see plenty of overtaking. Unfortunately, in the Pro-Am, we also saw just a couple of little love taps on the back in some of these quick corners. And that was enough to send people round. So we're trying to avoid that, especially in lap 1. Marius might be expecting a bit of carnage. Hopefully these guys can prove him wrong, because yeah, they're certainly capable of a clean lap. So let's have a clean lap, guys.
Yeah, Charles Wilkin, known for driving elbows out from time to time, in 2nd position on the front of the grid. And I for one am rooting for him. I mean, he's a legend of South African motorsport, having won multiple championships in multiple disciplines. But can he win here today in the ATK Pro Series, as he makes his way to the front of the grid for the, well, not for the first time, but certainly I think he'll get a win for the first time if he manages to do that. Right behind him is Deploy. And just look at the names here, Marius. Some of these names aren't as familiar as the ones that are further down the grid.
Happy days. That means the series is working. Ballast is doing its thing. Things are getting mixed up. It's now part of the race strategy. We spoke about it in Pro-Am, and that's what we wanted to see. Last year, yeah, usual
suspects indeed last year. We saw the same guys winning over and over. And this time, though, we're not seeing that at all. And that's what ballast is supposed to do. It's supposed to even things out ever so slightly. Jordan Sherritt, though, doing exceptionally well with all of that weight in his car in 11th position. Jordan Sherritt is. And
that's 60 kilos that Jordan Sherritt's got, so he's very, very well done to get that car up into 11th. He'll hope that they'll sort of be able to stay within the traffic, even fighting with the 60 kgs.
Here we go, guys. I'm rubbing my hands together with glee as we make our way through the final corner. We've got a front row grid there with Wilken on the front. T. Adam right next to him. They're making their way towards the flag. The lights are still red. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Grobler looking on, a previous winner. The lights go green and off they go. Oh, a bad start from Wilken. Wilken lagging a little bit behind there as the Bentley takes the lead. Grobler tries to slot into third position. Down the inside, he's got a car there. He's got the other Bentley down the inside, but he manages to maintain for the next corner. Gets very close to Wilken. The guys are so close to each other. There's some action happening in the back, but looks like everybody's still in tow. All drivers made it through safely by the looks of things. No major incidents to speak of. And what a fantastic race. Lewis gets passed further back down in 40th position, but the front runners are making a run for it.
Adam got a great start, didn't he? He's already got clear track. He could do a Chris Heineke here. We've got a drive-through already for Van Rooyen come up on the screen, so that's not a start that he wants to remember. But yeah, Tariq Adam, he's just, that's how you do it. You get in there, got a good start, got through. He's going to try and just race ahead and do a Chris Heineke. Let's see whether we can keep up with him.
Tariq Adam certainly has the pace for the looks of things, Marius?
Well, that's what I called earlier. I mean, the start here is so crucial because we know how fast these guys are, and we know they're going to go racing, and incidents happen. Get a good start, settle in your rhythm, and let the guys fight behind. So, brilliant start by Tariq. But, Daniel, I don't think it's going to be as easy as Heineke had it. There's a lot of strategy. We saw guys in that Pro-Am race pitching really, really early. So that's something that if they were watching that, they might think, this could obviously work. I'm caught up, I'm out of position, do the pit early because it didn't seem to be too heavy, the circuit on tyres. So I'm expecting a bit of strategy here.
I see Grobler putting pressure on Wilkins already at the start. I'm expecting that Ferrari to be quick. That's my guy to look out for, is JC Grobler in the 488.
Runs a little bit wide there, does Grobler. But Grobler still, as you say, keeping Wilken honest. We've got eyes now, Junior McCall in 5th position. And luckily, Junior McCall is very much in contention. Car number 37 and number 38 under investigation. Grobler getting very close there. That's a little bit too close there. If we can just cut to Grobler and Wilken, the two of them nose to tail is JC Grobler and Wilken. And Grobler might want to hang back ever so slightly. He's really getting a bit too close for my liking. These cars are so sensitive. Just one little touch and it's all over.
Yeah, Grobler's got the Bentley in mind rather than Wilkin, but Wilkin's a wise old hat. He's not going to just let the pass. He's going to be covering, old-fashioned defending here at Misano. Just keep the inside and cover it.
Oh, and there's that touch. The replay, we saw a touch early on between those. Oh no, more carnage at the back there. Oh my goodness, and that all happened right at the back of the field. So that was a replay from earlier on. That is under investigation at the moment. Aldo Bellingham getting a drive-through penalty. And I think he might have been involved in some of the carnage earlier on. JC
it was super clean at the front though, wasn't it? I mean, we didn't see anything. So it was only just right at the back of the field and just a car. We saw similar in the Pro-Am, didn't we? One car gets out.
Makes the move. Grobler makes the move down the inside. Look at that. Grobler makes it stick. Makes it stick. Wow, that was really quick, wasn't it?
Great pass.
That was so quick. This car is so hooked up. I think Grobler's got a very hooked up car underneath him. Confidence does seem to be very high. I mean, he absolutely went for it there. And I think he's going for T. Adam as well. Now the gap 1.4 seconds to the leader as we go on board with Junior McCall once again in the ATK car in 5th position.
The Ferrari's definitely quick. I'm basing it off of lap records for the sim. We've got the Audi has the real life lap record here, but the 488 in ACC currently has the lap record. So it's certainly quick on this circuit.
But that's what I also love to see. At the end of the day, when you're dealing with pros, if you're going to make a move, doesn't matter whether you're virtual or real, you've got to be decisive about it. And the guys also as pros know, I don't need to turn in. There's a guy, the pass is done. Let me get him going. I'll chase him at the next one. So that's also a great experience from Charles Wilken there, because in the Pro-Ams and maybe last year guys would have fallen over each other in that situation. But brilliant. Grobler was committed in, I'm passing you, dude. And it's a block pass, and that's what you can do really well here at Misano.
Well, what a list of names. Kieran Patterson applying pressure to Leslie Willifant, applying pressure to McCall, who's just behind Deploy. Deploy now applying pressure to Wilken, and Grobler and Adam up front trying to make a break for it. But these guys are really nose to tail here, and this is the train we've been hoping for. This is real racing. There's a move happening near the front there. That is Deploy having a look on Wilken there. Wilken keeps the outside line. If we could just cut to that visual over there. Wilkin on the outside, Deploy on the inside. Look at this. This is fantastic racing from both of them. Wilkin now managing to get the inside for the next corner, and Deploy slots in right behind once again. Deploy tries to go for the undercut. Oh, so close. They almost touch. Nose to tail. Deploy does give Wilkin a bit of a nudge. They're letting him know that I'm here onto the main straight. And just look behind him, more racing happening further back.
But this
Wilkins
is
being a bit of a
because
cork in this battle, isn't he? He's going backwards in the race rather than qualifying, because Grobler has stretched the lead already. He's gone. He's checked out. He needs to get that pass done. And now you just feel like Wilkins holding back this field a little bit.
Yeah, Wilkins time 35.1.
Daniel, it's very much what you were calling, saying that the Porsche is not historically a good car around this track, and it looks like it. So it's one thing setting your lap time in quali, but in the race, the Bentley looks like it's got way more pace. So
Kadelia is also getting involved now. Kadelia on the back of the train with Straydom in striking distance as well. And as you were saying, there is a cork here. Patterson has a look down the inside of Oliphant. Patterson having a look down the inside of Oliphant. He might make it stick. Yes, he does. Oliphant around the outside though. The next corner is the left-hander. Well, what's going to happen next? Oh, next corner is the right-hander. Sorry, Oliphant's got the line for the next corner. And as we go back to McCall there in
where did Bruno
position.
Kadelia come from? I love it. Bruno's also having a good look around here. But listen, that was good racing, because we know Kieran's kind of got himself into some situations in the past, falling over drivers, but nice to see them, because that's quite a complicated set of corners, and very easy to just get sucked into the car in front of you and miss your brake points and make contact. So that was really good racing. But I heard back from Daniel Rowe, just an update. He was obviously heavily involved with the motor racing at Scribanchi yesterday. VW not racing the GDC program, but obviously VW using their drivers to help the guys set up for Polo Cup and Super Cups. He said he's had no time to actually practice, and he's busy building himself a new rig. So he said, I'm leaving it up to Tariq to fly the flag. So I just said to him, dude, he is. The boy is on fire out front, but there's a Ferrari that's coming fast.
Kieran Patterson, they're looking very good, and certainly one of the most improved drivers over the last 2 seasons. And look at that. You were saying, Marius, earlier on, that these complexes, it's so difficult to get a complex right. If you nose the tail like this and you make one teeny mistake, you're now out of rhythm for the next bunch of corners. And we saw Patterson doing that, and now he's fallen off the back of, I think that's Oliphant in front of him there. So Patterson's fallen off the back a little bit. McCall, Deploy, and Wilkins still at it though. And the rest of the group catching up further back. Look at that. That group is coming in hot. Just behind Kadelia, Straydom and McCall, and Morgan McCall further back, having a bit of a tussle as well.
Yeah, this
Wilkins
is
a
epic
little
racing.
bit of a breathing space now, hasn't he, Wilkins? He was struggling for a while. He was been a bit of a cork in the bottle, but now he's just managed to stretch his legs, settle down, see whether he can regroup and try and get back to our leaders.
Yeah, I'm also just having a look at this, because it's very easy. I think what's also happening now is that Junior is putting Christian under a bit of pressure. So that's the difficult thing. You are putting the guy in front of you under pressure and you're chasing, but you've always got to have an eye for the mirrors to have a look at what's happening behind you. So I think Junior is helping Charles up ahead, because he's keeping Christian like split eyes here, dude. I'm watching ahead and I'm watching behind. So this is brilliant racing. It's like 42 minutes to go, and I think it's also important that guys kind of do settle into their rhythm and don't do anything stupid, because it is a long race. So sometimes if that pass didn't work straight away, just regroup, get your head back in the game, and then come on a second attack. And a circuit like this allows it. I mean, that's what you watch when the bikes are running here. It's just rolling off the brake and just running in a little bit deeper and getting the pass done. A little bit more difficult in cars, a lot more difficult when it's virtually as well, because you just don't get that same feeling. So our pros are already putting on a pro show at the moment.
Well, guys, we've got the top 11 all within striking distance of each other. And guess who's in number 12? Jordan Shedden, looking at the train in front of him, and I'm sure he's hoping for some sort of mistake down in 12th position so that he can capitalize and get as much points as possible in a race where he's carrying quite a bit of ballast. 60 kilograms is Jordan Shedden carrying, currently in 12th position as the top 11, just separated by tenths of a second each, and tussling it out for that best possible finish.
But remember, we spoke about how important it is when you are carrying weight. It almost changes your mindset. So you go in not with this I've got to win mentality, so you don't get grumpy when you're off the pace. You go in with a totally different mindset, and this is the long game plan, where it's like, I've got to score points, as many as I can. So I think the guys have got their head around that, how to now drive around the ballast thing. So all you want to do here is score points.
Yes.
And that's your focus. You're not really worried about your out and out pace. So Jordan doing well, sitting in 12th. Jason, who obviously won the last round and sitting with a full 80 kgs in 16th in a Porsche. He will not be unhappy about that at the moment because he's going to get some points there too.
And they know they've got a drop round as well, don't they? So you think to yourself, well, I'll try my best, see if I get some good points. Worst case scenario, it's a drop round, no worries, move on to the next round, I've ditched my ballast. So it definitely strategy at play.
I think the ballast guys are going to be able to capitalize. There's still 14 minutes of racing left. Patterson has a look down the inside there. Oliphant. Patterson, as we go on the camera there of the Mercedes-Benz of Junior McCall, just look at this angle, the AMG flag flying high there on the back of that massive wing on that Mercedes-Benz. And Patterson now putting all sorts of pressure on Oliphant. Now he has another look down the inside at the tight left-hander. Patterson might have made the stick. He's got the line, but Oliphant once again goes down the inside, the same spot we saw early on. And Oliphant, the experience paying off there. And this is that double right-hander there as Patterson tries to make his way down the outside, but no luck as Oliphant slots back into that position.
No team orders at Patterson Works Racing, eh? These guys are fighting, don't you kid it. They're not getting it. Oliphant's not letting him pass. He's got to earn it.
Yeah, so I do think these guys might trip over each other, and that might see Jordan share it with an advantage and trying to capitalize, because this is arguably one of the closest races we've seen in a while. I know we thought we weren't going to be able to top last rounds racing because of all the incidents, but as far as close racing goes, I mean, these guys are separated. The top 10, just an unbelievable list of drivers there, so close to each other. And you know, any one of these guys could make a move and end up in the top 5, top 3, and possibly with a win. We see Tariq Adam in first position there. We've never seen him lead a race, and look what he's doing now as we go on board of Bruno Kadile in the White Rabbit Gaming 720S.
And it's been clean, hasn't it? I haven't seen any incidents between the top runners. There's not, the race stewards are sat there waiting, looking through the field, trying to find something to do. This is a complete opposite of what we saw at Alton Park. The pro drivers are really showing that they are pro drivers.
Finally a day off for the stewards.
Yeah, I think after what happened in the Pro-Am, maybe they need some time off. But
I'm worried about what we're going to view tomorrow night in the instant report. Your Pro-Ams here, drivers, are going to get nailed to the wall.
Oh, Morgan McCall putting a lot of pressure on Strydom now. Strydom in the Lexus in 9th position. Morgan McCall now would definitely want to make his way further up the grid. He's not going to be happy with 10th position as he has a look down the inside, try and get onto that straight section over here. But no luck so far. And it does seem like overtaking opportunities are plenty. But it also does seem like overtaking is difficult because these drivers are all so closely matched.
Yeah, that's totally it. As soon as there's a mistake, the opportunity will present itself. But these drivers are so good that the mistakes are not there. So you feel like you've got to try and force it a bit. But 40 minutes to go, just got to be patient and just wait for that slight. It's so easy to just run slightly wide here. And if you leave the door open, you can just send it.
So this is where the pit lane and the pit stops will actually make a big difference, because before the pit stops, yes, it did shuffle the deck a little bit, but maybe there's 2-3 seconds between the guys and, you know, they might get a bit closer. But because they're so close now, we're going to see pit stops making a meaningful difference, Marius. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm surprised we haven't seen anybody go for that. Sorry, I was just having some connectivity issues, and I actually wanted to ask you guys what tyre wear is like. I mentioned it earlier. We didn't see any issues with a Bentley pitting on lap 2 and making it through. Now, I know these guys are running a hotter pace than the Pro-Am guys, but I really would, if I'm sitting in that train, that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th position, I would kind of think, listen, let's pull a strategy call here, because it's really not paying in your favor at the moment. So I don't know, it's brave, but that's why we've got pit stops and we've got strategy. But maybe it's time to roll the dice, because at the moment,
Sorry, Marius. We were just saying, we were chatting to Van Coller. He mentioned that he was concerned that pitting early would affect his tyres, and he had to go to such a long stint. But it wasn't a problem for him, wasn't it? Yeah, like you mentioned, that these pro guys are going at a bit of a faster clip than the Pro-Am series, but not actually that substantially. We're looking at like 134s. It's very similar to what Chris Heineke was doing.
McCall gets a bit of a twitch there.
But then there's definitely time for somebody to roll the dice here, because at the moment it's follow my leader, you know, and I'm trying to see what the gap is to the person right at the back. But the guys seem to be quite quite well spread. We know the pit stop was about 1 minute 25. So you're definitely going to come out with some clean track, and I think that could end up being crucial down the line. I mean, Tariq Adams has really done a great job, and like we predicted, that's what you want to do here, is get away, because these guys now can't really put in good lap times because there's a guy on your tail all the way, so everyone's kind of in their own little battle, and that's helping the leader run away with it. But it's time to roll the dice. I would think if I was one of them.
We're starting to see the guys bunch up in groups now as this three-way battle takes place. You got Hall in 11th position, Morgan McCall in 10th, Strydom in 9th position, and Strydom doing very well to absorb all this pressure as that giant Mercedes-Benz badge looms behind him once more. We look at this view as he goes down the inside, does the Mercedes-Benz of McCall. McCall with a perfect maneuver, places the car absolutely in front of the Lexus, and what a pass from McCall, manages to make it stick, and now Strydom finds himself under pressure from Hall again.
I would like to take our director to the casino with me now, because to actually decide to go on board at that battle right at that moment, it was just beautiful to see an overtake from that perspective. So Morgan doing a great job, and I mean Short Stratum doing a fantastic job as well. And he's been quick in a car that isn't a favorite amongst most of the people. I think a lot of people complained that Lexus, I know last year, didn't have top end speed, great handling car, but it didn't have any grunt. And I think here it's probably a track that's less about top speed and more about the ability to stitch some corners together. So maybe that's why we're seeing such a good showing from the Lexus.
Well, Wesley Hampston down in 15th position did have the Lexus, as we see a move there by the Bentley. Oh no! They touch. Bruno Cadile and Leslie Oliphant touch. Bruno Cadile, Leslie Oliphant now on the side of the circuit there, getting relegated all the way down. Oh my goodness me, things have shuffled up now, and the race stewards are going to want to have a look at that. Hopefully we can see a proper replay and try and figure out what exactly happened there.
I think it was just an opportunity where you saw Kieran Patterson running it up the inside and the door being left open, and I think Bruno thought, I'll have a look at this, and that's what we spoke about. You put your nose in a place where it shouldn't be, and that was a gap that was always going to close, because Leslie hadn't made a mistake. He just got blocked past into turn one. So I think Bruno's going to be in some trouble there.
Lewis now applying pressure to the stricken Oliphant, who more than likely has taken a little bit of damage on that car now, all the way down in 12th position. He'll be cursing underneath that visor as we look at Deploy now in 4th position. It's nice to see these new names further up the field. Deploy in 4th place, now applying pressure to Charles Wilkin in 3rd position.
Superb drive by Charles. I mean, this is a Porsche that you guys are all saying shouldn't be anywhere near the top end.
He's the only one left, isn't he?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, Leslie was up there. He's obviously been spun around now, but this is a great drive. And Christian was putting Charles under lots of pressure about 5 or 6 laps back. And I said to you guys, this is what can also happen where it doesn't work. It's a long race. Take a break and then come back on another concerted effort. And it feels like that is what Christian's doing. He's kind of taken a break. He's got his head back in the game, and now he's putting some serious pressure on Charles Wilkin. But yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what the stretch has. That overtake move. Have a look at Kieran Patterson. Brilliant. Runs it up the inside. Yeah, Bruno was just being cheeky. No, that's big trouble for him, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, he's also got the steward's full attention, hasn't he? And he's not going to get away with that one. Every single one of them's watching that right now.
That's that for me is a drive-through, because it's cost Leslie so many places, and it's fully avoidable. I just think he got sucked into. Kieran's going.
There wasn't even gap there, was there? I mean, to be honest, he just forced it.
He's just going, Kieran's going, I'll follow him. I said, that works if you ride it on his tail, but he wasn't. So
acknowledge Kieran Patterson's move, though. What a move from Patterson.
Brilliant.
And as you said earlier on, both of you guys mentioned the overtaking opportunities are there, but the overtakes that are happening are class quality overtaking maneuvers, isn't it?
You have to, though. I think that's the key at a track like this because of its nature. It's like when you make a move, it's got to be decisive. This is not a track where a kind of maybe sort of I'm thinking about it. Because of the flowing nature of it, you end up getting your nose just in, and it's the lightest of touches, and someone rotates. Obviously that wasn't a light touch from Bruno, but we saw it in other areas, and that's why the moves that are being done are set up over 5 or 6 corners, getting that car lined up, and then when you make the move, it's clean. And it's been some great passes and also some really poor ones.
Yeah, some poor passes here and there, but mostly fantastic racing. And
drive through for sure.
Oh, he gets it. He gets the drive through. Stratum still under pressure from Hall. Hall in that massive Bentley now tries to take a different line there, but Kieran Patterson, wow, what a showing from him in the Bentley, top 6 at the moment, under pressure from Bruno Cadile. But Bruno Cadile should get a penalty pretty shortly.
That drive through was for Bellingham on the first lap, wasn't it? So we're still waiting.
Yeah, but is that another one? Because he did take
another
it.
one. Yeah.
So he actually took his drive-through penalty, and now he's got issued with another one. So
I think it must be late, or it's come up on the screen as late. He took it straight away, didn't he? 'Cause it's not. It would be showing next to his name if he didn't take it. The DT.
But it's come up twice. So it did come up. He took it, and then maybe a minute later it came up. So it does look like that's a second drive-through penalty for him. So a bit of a problem. But I'm quite keen to see what happens with Bruno Cadile, because I think he's going to be in a spot of bother there. But what this has done is freed up Kieran Patterson, who looks really racy in a fast Bentley, and look at him, he's got right into the back of Morgan McCall at the moment. So I expect, and we've got a car spinning in the background there. I don't know who that was, but that's near Jason Abschmeyer, who's down in 15th, 14th, so I don't know who spun there.
And I've been riding on board with Deploy, who's actually jumped over Charles Wilkin. He's got the pass made. We missed that one. I think
wow.
Go back in to get a replay of that one, but he's made the pass up into second place. Wilkins dropped back into third, so we've got 2 Bentleys at the top now.
Did you see that block pass? That's like, dude, I'm coming through and I'm just going to keep coming, push it as wide as possible. But they both did really well. So well done to Vet over there for actually not turning in and realizing that he was being pushed by Quaid. But that was quite an aggressive overtake move. And that's what we were saying earlier. If you're going to do the move, make sure it's a proper move. There's no way the guy comes back.
If we can go further back, Sheriff and Oliphant are having a bit of a tussle. Jordan Sheriff has already done his pit stop, and so has Oliphant. And the pit stop window now is starting to get used as drivers now start eking their way into pits. Oliphant overtook Sheriff early on, my apologies, and now the two of them are battling it out once again. Look at that, Sheriff goes down the inside. Beautiful move.
Brilliant.
Beautiful move. Places the car in front of him. And it's so nice to see. That's that corner we were talking about, Maurice. Oliphant getting close. And the car's fully loaded there, isn't it?
Can I just say, that was so incredible, the direction change on that Merc. We speak about the dynamics involved. The track's going one way, the car's going the other way, but he's got 60 kilograms to contend with as well, and they're able to change direction like that and just run it in. And literally all he's doing, you can afford to run in hot because you know that's a block pass. The guy cannot turn in because you've put your car there. All he's got to do is make sure he can stop and turn, and he did a fantastic job. Another great overtake.
Just want to point out that JC Groppler's come into the pits early. He's come out and he's in completely clear air. This could be important for the sort of podium places, because he's one of the first ones to do exactly what we saw in the Pro-Am series. Pitted just a touch earlier than the other guys, but it's crucial where he's come out. I'm just riding on board with him. He's got no one. He's got clear track ahead of him. If he can get his head down and nail some laps, this could be interesting for the win for JC Groppler.
It's a great pickup there, Daniel. Great strategy, and actually seeing that's happened, because I think unfortunately now for these guys that are running 4th, 5th and 6th, it's actually too late. They've missed that window, so if they pit now, they're actually going to come back out in traffic. So this was the move that we missed earlier with Christian running up the outside of that's proper commitment around the outside in that Bentley. Wow, big set of brass ones that have been shined for today. That's beautiful.
He wasn't worried. He had it all the time.
There's one, when you get overtaken like that, it's so demoralizing, because you realize like this guy is so much faster than me through there. He just absolutely total commitment, and Charles unfortunately had no option there but just to Charles Wilkin spun out. We just heard from our producer that Charles Wilkin has spun out, and we're going to get a replay of that shortly. And
Tariq Adams, is also pitted, so he's come out back in first position. I'd love to see what that gap is.
Half a second
between him and Grobler.
It was like 3 seconds. It's only half a second.
Yeah, he's pulled it right back just by having that clear track after his earlier pit stop than Tariq. So I don't know if someone gave Tariq some strategy call then, said to him, dude, pit now, because that gap is ever diminishing. But
it's so close between those two still, though, like ridiculously close. JC Grobler's looking up the inside now. I don't know whether we can cut to him.
Yeah, I'd love to go.
He's got the pass done. He's got the pass done. There's JC Grobler.
That's a battle for the lead if we can get back to that. So that'll be awesome to see. There we go.
Here we go.
And
Jason Cropper down the inside there.
Tariq coming back at him around the
Oh
outside.
my goodness me.
Watch
These
the
guys
undercut
are
here.
giving it all. These guys are giving it all. JC Kropla with a commitment there. Tariq Adams, fantastic driving. But Kropla, you called it early on, Daniel. Kropla could be the dark horse here, the man with the pace, and with the man with the what could be the fastest car at the circuit. Tariq Adams had it all to play for, and he had it in the bag. But now, Kropla, our new leader, at least on paper, as he makes his way across the start-finish line.
That was a pure strategy call that Daniel picked up early. So he actually pitted at the right time, and Tariq actually held off a lap or two, because had he have pitted at the same time, he would have slotted into a very similar window. But those are the strategy calls. That's why these guys in the real racing world have a team of engineers that are sitting, looking at lap deltas, looking at where they can feed you back into the track so you're going to get some clear air. But here's our replay of Charles Wilkins spinning, and looks like it is through that tricky right-hander. Yeah, it's so, oh no, wow, oh, that's a big one.
I thought he had it, and then it just let go on him, didn't it?
Yeah, and that's the Porsche was a really tricky car to drive back last year. I'm not sure what it's like this time, but it was always a difficult car to drive. Very much snap oversteer, and yeah, it looked like that's exactly what happened that time. A little bit of snap oversteer, they caught him out.
I think Rottler also just he got his tyres, I mean, he had an extra lap or two to get his tyres up to temperature and in the window. It made that pass just that little bit easier for him. Tariq Adams obviously on his out lap. And because he couldn't pass in the first stint, could he, Grobler? He was there or thereabouts, but Tariq will, once he gets his tyres back up, will start putting the pressure back the other way.
Bruno Cadile gets a 15-second penalty.
He's
Bruno
lucky.
Cadile gets a 15
Oh, I thought he'd get a bit more than that, to be
I
honest.
would have given him a drive-through, because that was so not even close to a pass.
So
But
close
listen,
there.
this
Adams
is the
putting
pace,
pressure. This is the battle for the lead. This is the battle for the lead. We're seeing a proper race here as Kropla gets a little bit sideways over the bumps there.
Yeah, this is the good battle to stay on board with, because Tariq now, as Daniel said, he's got his tyres up to temperature, and he's looking really, really good.
We've got somebody coming out of the pits there. This could upset things even more.
That's Junior McCall and Kieran Patterson. I think that they've done their pit stops now. So it'll be interesting to see where
far
they
behind, though, aren't they? They're not going to be. Not these. These are the two that are really fighting for the lead. I think they had a substantial enough gap, but it just had Grobler just had that position when he come out. It was the clean track that I doubt he would have been able to foretell that unless he's got some amazing spotter working for him. But he got a bit lucky, and he made it work for him.
Fantastic driving, and all he needs to do now is keep ahead. But easy to say, you got Tariq Adam, which was proven to be absolutely blistering on the circuit in that Bentley, surprisingly. And Tariq's best time, a 133.3. He just did a 133.8 in his previous lap. And the Ferrari is a 133.4. Last lap, 133.9. So 1/10 of a second separated them on their previous lap and their best times. So technically, Adam is faster, but only by 1/10 of a second.
No, listen, you can see it as well. I mean, it's like, and you can see which parts of the track the cars are working slightly differently. The Bentley's better in certain sections, and that's what makes it such a good race. But this has been quite interesting. I mean, Bruno's got that 15-second penalty. We think he's lucky about that, but he's still done well to have pitted, and he's actually leapfrogged Kieran Patterson. So Kieran's kind of lost out a little bit in that pit stop, because remember, he was all over the back of, he has problems here. That's a great pass. That is a great... That's a great pass. No, that for me is brilliant, because
they
you know what?
Actually touched, did they? At any point? No. I don't think so. It was perfect.
But it was elbows out there. It was elbows out.
Very much so. Forced it. I'm having it. I'm in a bigger car than you. Get out of the way.
It's big and yellow. Yeah. The yellow submarine is what it actually is.
100% that's a yellow submarine.
But that is racing, eh? That's what you want to see on passes like that, because at the end of the day, we keep talking about in the real world, you'll see the car there, you'll know he's there. Yeah, they've got all the proximity meters telling you the guy's there, you can't turn in, but that is what I love to see. Commitment, there can't be a half measure on a pass, ever. And Kieran showed a lot of commitment there. And like I mentioned earlier, he's been found out in the past for maybe doing a few silly things and putting his nose where he shouldn't have, but that was a brilliantly executed pass.
Now, Marius, you called it earlier on, man. The commitment needed. I've seen it now over and over and over. Like the big overtaking maneuvers are all full commitment. I'm going for it. I'm going to make it stick. The only one we saw falter was Bruno Cadile, but that was a little bit over optimistic, I think.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the guys, they made the call. The gap was there. They took it. They made it stick. And it's undeniable that your opponent has to yield. And that's really what a good overtake is, when your opponent goes, you know what, well done, that's yours now.
Yeah. But you know what the cool thing about this is, what is, remember, these are guys that through and through are racing a lot together. It's their second season in the ATK Pro Series, and usually it's the same guys running in pros. Now you imagine the real race world when you're spending, and Kieran's got another move done, so that's on Junior McCall. So brilliant, he's on fire, and then Bentley looking good. But just back to what I was saying, it's like when the guys are spending a lot of time on track racing against each other, you start learning what your opponent is doing, and you start developing respect for each other. And that's what I think we're seeing a lot of now. The guys aren't doing stupid things, they're racing for real.
That's what I liked about sim racing. It's just like real world racing. You get rivalries that happen in series like this. You get certain drivers which you find racing against it round in, round out. You just constantly seem to be around there. They're in your sort of window. And you just get to know the way they drive. Some are very aggressive, and you're like, I've got to watch this guy. You're always looking in your rear view mirror. Others, not so much, and you're taking advantage of that. It's very, very similar. But that's what's so good about these sort of things.
The psychology of motorsport is a very real thing, and we're seeing that play out right before our very eyes. We've got Bruno Cadile hanging around in the background there. We've got McCall getting up close and personal to Patterson, who just made that overtake. And Patterson, certainly my driver of the day so far. I need to check exactly where he came from to where he is now, but based on performances over the last year or so, this is certainly one of his best, as we see.
Have a look at this.
All at the front. Yeah, it's so close between these two. I've been watching them for a while. Adams is all over the back of Grosvenor. It's so close between these two.
Massive pressure there, as Tariq Adam there applying pressure to Grobler.
It's brilliant. But yeah, it's interesting just listening, Daniel, what you were saying as well. Like my cousin many years ago, when he wrapped up our touring car series here in South Africa, went and raced British touring cars with John Cleland. And he just said when he arrived there, he knows what the mentality is there, and they're basically going to gang up on the South African. What does he know? And he just said when he went into the first race, he was just arms out, smashing oaks. And actually the guys just said, whoa, we don't race like that yet, but he said he had to do that because otherwise the next rounds, the guys are actually just, you're basically going to be their bitch. And you need to show that, listen, if you're going to pass me, you're going to have to put your car on the line. Exactly. And it's interesting now, maybe like Kieran Patterson's got a bit of psychology going there as well, because maybe guys are going, oh, hang on, he tends to run in a little bit hot. Let me be. But it's that type of psychology.
Last round and saw Kieran Patterson.
I mean, he was full send off the grass into that
that's
corner.
That's the psychology. That's a psychology that you start looking at, because this guy is a ferocious overtaker. So when you see him behind you, you're already playing mind games. The guy's already second guessing. Is he going to dive? Isn't he? Because it's not going to be a 50-50. He's coming or he's not. So brilliant.
Poor Bruno Cadile has got a 15-second penalty, and in any other race day, that would have been just 1 or 2 positions. But that 15-second is going to send him way down. Look at the pressure being applied there. But the Bentley, as it gets sideways, trying to make that overtake maneuver stick. As we look back now from the Ferrari and go back to the wide angle here.
You know what's happening. Sorry, you know what's happening here as well. Have a look in the background. Christian Deploy. These two are keeping each other really, really busy. So it's going to be quite interesting to see the lap deltas on Christian Deploy in the other Bentley in third place, because he's got clear track. You see him coming into frame there. So these two having a little dogfight is just going to kind of give him all the incentive to keep pushing, because he's not involved in a fight. No mirrors to watch. And these two are certainly holding each other up. Different lines through the corners. Beautiful racing. I love it.
Rob will be looking at the time thinking 17 minutes of this, please, no. That's a lot of laps to try and soak up this pressure, and he's already had about 20 minutes of it, hasn't he? So he's got the track position, which is vital, but just Adam looks like he's got the pace.
Deploy currently 5.4 seconds back on this pack.
See, he's come down. It was 6.3 when we started talking about it. So this could be playing into his hands, and wouldn't it be great for us as commentators to have a 3-way battle for the lead? I see back markers up ahead as well. So this already, Tariq will now be thinking, okay, here's an opportunity. Back markers are coming up. So these are the sort of things that the drivers need to start thinking about.
The Bentleys really are performing exceptionally well. 2, 3, 4. All Bentleys, Ferrari in first, Mercedes-Benz, Junior McCall in 5th position. I certainly think that this circuit favors the Bentleys and the Ferrari, as mentioned. Somebody gets a drive-through penalty. 808 gets a drive-through penalty for track limits. That's Van Rooyen further back, so not affecting the field. Jason Van Rooyen in the Ferrari 808 gets a drive-through penalty for his troubles. And there's that track limits, one of the first track limit penalties we've seen so far today. So it hasn't happened too much, but it can happen, is what we've just seen.
Yeah, I
It's
thought we'd
just
get a few more actually, but the Bentley, the reason why it's so good is it can just soak up those big yellow sausage curves you see on the inside of a lot of these corners. It can actually cut a bit more than the rest, as you see the Bentley just riding straight over them there, no worries whatsoever.
No
Daniel,
worries.
it's amazing because you look at it and you go, there is no ways a circuit like this, which is not a stop and turn, it's literally fast and flowing. There's no ways that thing should be so nimble through here, you know. But it's certainly
I think the
on
problem
site.
with the Bentley, as you probably know, Marius, is we look at it and we think of the road car, don't we? And the fact that
Yeah.
it's plush, big leather seats, all the nice interior, unbelievable. But the GT3 version is so stripped out. The only thing it has is that big shell that's still on top of it. It's still a very, very good race car, isn't it?
But the guys were complaining, you know, when you speak to Jordan and to Jules and to Maxime Soleil, they say it's just such a difficult car. Its operating window in terms of tire pressures and tire temperature is crucial, and the window is so tiny, so it really works brilliantly at other tracks. And then on certain tracks, you're busy the whole time trying to get that perfect mix up and set up on the car. So it doesn't wear tires heavily, but it's like it is a big boat. But it's achieved amazing things. But on a track like this, I would never have thought it would be such a car to pick. I mean, that would be my garage choice.
Especially on the circuit,
With ACC, I think one fault of ACC, even the biggest die-hard fan of ACC would have to admit it, that the setup window for the tyres, especially the pressures, is a little bit ridiculous. We're talking like 0.1 psi can be make all the difference, but might give you a couple of tenths. It's very, very, very strict throughout every car. It doesn't not just for a Bentley, it's for all of them. So they will have to get used to that. So in some ways, I suppose that is a bit of a leveler. And if that is the case in real life for Bentley, it has to be set up perfectly. All cars in ACC have to be set up absolutely perfectly to get that optimum lap time.
Yeah, I was just chatting to some of the guys in practice earlier on, and the guys were struggling with understeer in the Mercedes-Benz on the circuit. And one little tiny change on the anti-roll bar, and then all of a sudden, you know, the car was a totally different car. So I think that was Quade Claessen's down in 16th position, usually not that far down. And he was saying that, tiny changes to the car made big differences. And as you're saying, that's how this game works.
Sure, but I mean, then you've really got to spend so much time in the seat.
They do. They really do, Marius.
These
guys spend hours and hours and hours. I'm just looking at Tariq Allen. He's running out of ideas now. He's using his flashes rather than anything else.
Look at that angle there as we get on board with the Ferrari over there in first position, and he's flashing. I think maybe flashing those. There's nobody in front of him. Why is he flashing there? That's
I think Adams was flashing him.
Adams is flashing him.
Grobler sort of says, "Well, I can use my lights as well." No, you can't see him.
Look at that, Grobler really getting so close to the edge of the track there.
I would put on my hazards. Does ACC have hazards?
You can do that. Yeah, you should do that. You got to map the button, but if you did, that'd be a good way of doing it.
It's like a little brake check, you know.
Yeah. But every lap that Grobler manages to soak this up, he will just be getting more and more confident in his ability to keep Adam behind. That's it.
Yeah.
You get used to it, don't you?
He gets it sideways. The Ferrari gets it very sideways there. And this is going to allow the Bentley to get closer there. A bit of a big oversteer moment there. Has it affected his exit of this corner? It doesn't look like it too much, though. But I think the Bentley's going to get a bit closer this time.
But he's having a look on the inside. Oh. You know what the lovely thing is? This is why, for me, Formula One can go and play in the car park. Is they're so busy screwing around with aero and. There is no ways that you could follow a lead car lap after lap like this without absolutely trashing your tire. Well, actually, you wouldn't be able to, because the way that car pierces the air. And I'm like, strip away all that crap that requires wind tunnels and let's go racing. We don't then need DRS zones and all these stupid flipping things. We can do this. And this is
like
what makes
touring cars.
but that is what makes GT3 racing so bloody good. Is that the guys will go lap after lap like this. It is brilliant.
Guys, I think Grobler is leaning on that Ferrari a lot. There's still 11 minutes to go. It does look like that car's starting to move around a little bit. Daniel, can you comment on that? I mean, do you think that car's starting to get a bit more oversteer as we make our way through to the final 10 minutes? And Adam, on the other hand, I'm on board with him at the moment. His car looks absolutely stable.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do a full stint to know how long tyres last. It'll be super interesting. I think they'll both be, I mean, they're both pushing. Let's not forget, they're really going for it. So if one's going to start fading, or fading, I think they'll both will fade. But Grobler he's got track position. I mean, there is passing opportunities here, but equally, you cover that inside line, you cut them off, make him go around the outside. He'll know that. He'll get more familiar with where he needs to defend, the parts of the circuit he's got to be quick on, and then the other ones where he can just relax a little bit more.
Well, maybe he wants to save himself some weight. Maybe Tariq's pushing, and quite happy to finish in second because he knows he's not going to drag 80 Ks around, but rather 60 when they get to Donington. So, yeah, I mean, you've also got to start considering that as well. But I think for Tariq, bugger that. It's about having a race win. We know Grobler's already had one. So for him to have 2 race wins also shows you how the ballast thing works. So when you don't have ballast, you've got to win. And when you do, you've got to score points. So he's playing it perfectly, actually.
I don't believe these guys that say, "Oh, I held back because I didn't want ballast." You don't do that. You're there. You're sweat coming down your forehead. You see a win, you're going for it. You don't think, "Oh, I'd rather have 30 kgs less ballast." No chance. Adam wants this. He really wants it.
For sure. You can see it because he is trying absolutely everything. And this is what I love because we spoke about it earlier. Such different lines that you can take. And you have a look at the Bentleys, like able to hold a tighter line through the one little fast right-hander, and that gives him a chance to run up the inside. But like you said, Daniel, all he's got to do as Grobler is just put the car in the right place, and there's no way through.
I think Adams would be a bit quicker if he spent less time flashing his lights and a little bit more time concentrating on his line, to be honest. That's definitely a tactic of his.
Can you put it on a loop? Because it might just be running automatically.
You've got to push that button, but he's doing it.
Oh, here we go.
He's so close. He's trying to set up the overtake by compromising certain sections of track. Oh, the Ferrari runs wide there, and he's trying to set up the corner.
Watch him. Yeah, he's up the inside. Watch this, because as we saw, he had a look
Ooh.
earlier, but he's blocked it off.
Look how much covering Grobler's doing there.
But now he's compromised.
Go around the outside. Yeah.
But you see, now he's completely compromised. So if Tariq sees that early enough, yeah, if he sees, but he didn't, he was already committed, and that's what he's got to start thinking about here, is that make JC go for the block, take the wrong line, and you know he's going to have to do that, and you line yourself up. So he's got to start thinking like that now with 8.5 minutes to go. But this
Adam was following him on the inside, wasn't he? Adam, if he kept his racing line, he would have had a much quicker exit. So maybe he needs to think for the next lap, if Grobler's coming that much, and learn from that before.
And these corners are so complex, what I was saying earlier on, so close, man. These corners are so complex that you've got to set up the overtake 2 or 3 corners ahead of the time versus just trying to do it on one corner, especially in the complex sections where it does seem, surprisingly, that the Bentley does seem to be a bit quicker.
Yeah, but isn't this what you want to see? I mean, imagine now if you had a DRS zone. Oh, when you blow past the guy. Come on. I mean, here you actually have racecraft. You are actually working and thinking. And that, for me, is what motor racing was always meant to be about. You've got 2 very different cars that perform better in certain parts of the circuit. But this is about, like, making the guy make a mistake. Is that Kieran Patterson? Oliphant.
Leslie Oliphant. I'm on board here with the battle in front. It's getting even closer, guys, as we now cut to Leslie Oliphant and Jordan Shedder. Jordan Shedder then looking good in 12th position, but Oliphant keeping him honest. And these 2 guys are still going at it. And just notice Adam's slightly different approach at certain sections. Just coming in slightly different, and then coming out at the end totally different.
But watch here, he has this right-hander coming up now, if I think, and he can take a lot tighter line as he goes through. Okay, not on this one. But he obviously, he runs it right at the back of that Ferrari. So look at the drive that he gets out of that corner as well. So, but have a look, Deploy's getting closer. That's down to 4. Remember, it was at 6. It's now down to 4.5. But I think he's just going to really run out of time. But and there's Kieran Patterson as well. Jeez, the Bentleys are dominating. We had 2 on the podium, 2nd and 3rd in Pro-Am, and now we're going to have 2 on the podium. Yeah, it might be
those
1st
guys
and 3rd.
Those guys that changed from the Bentley are absolutely kicking themselves today, I'm sure, because the Bentley is performing so well, and we've seen some nice new familiar names at the top of the logs over here. JC Grobler, though, not unfamiliar to first place. Now, currently in first position, can he hold off the hard-charging Tariq Adam, who was leading for most of this race, and now finds himself in 2nd position? And once again, coming into this first complex section over here, Tariq Adam trying to line up the overtake, but just unable to do so. Runs wide there, tries to straighten out this next section and get the run going towards the right-hander. Still now losing a little bit of ground, and Scrobler doing exceptionally well, and look at the braking zones. Look how close
Yeah.
the Bentley's able to get in those braking zones. I think
This Bentley looks a lot more stable under braking. He's able to actually like trail brake it into the corners, which is crucial when you've got these sort of corners that run onto each other. So, yeah, the Bentley looks really good. And, you know, for me, Tariq's done nothing wrong. He set the fastest time, put him on pole, started the race well. And all it literally came down was a pit stop, because it just looks like Krobler made the right call to stop when he did. And that's how the pass happened. The pass, in theory, happened because of pit stop. So I feel a bit sorry for Tariq here, but, I mean, they certainly are putting on a fantastic race. And well done to Christian Deploy as well in third, and Kieran Patterson in fourth. I think this is probably Kieran's best drive at the moment. He's really done well. And the guys running away, Jordan in 12th, Jason in 15th. These are going to be good points hauls for them, considering the fatties that they're carrying around with them.
Yeah, but Grobler is soaking up the pressure. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's not been a few laps, has it? It's been an entire stint so far. He's got 5 minutes to go. I can guarantee you he's looking at that clock. It's almost going backwards for him, probably. Every time he looks up, it's 30 seconds more than last time I looked.
Adam's got the opposite
5
experience.
minutes. 4 or 5 laps to go.
Adam's got the opposite experience here, where it's like, oh my God, I've only got 5 minutes left. T minus 5 minutes.
It's going down a bit too quick for Adam. He's running out of ideas, but all he can do is what he's doing. Just put on as much pressure as possible. There's nothing more. He can't put on any more pressure than this. He's basically being towed round right now.
Look at the line out of there. Look how much tighter he can hold that line. It's actually quite incredible. It's lovely going on board here. But you know, the thing is, it's like you start making the call. Do you go for this Hail Mary big move? Or do you just say, you know what, well done, Krobler. Fantastic, soaked up the pressure and get the points haul and finish in second.
I don't
If you
think
do a
Hail
Hail
Mary's
Mary
there.
move, you're going to be on the stream again tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You
I
want to
don't think
avoid
that.
that.
I don't think the Hail Mary's there, though. I think Krobler's doing a fantastic enough job to not leave any of those gaps up. But look how close they're getting. The proximity meters coming on. He's right on nose to tail. He's got the outside now. This could be the move. It's a right-hander and then into another hairpin right-hand. He's all the way around the outside. Can he do the undercut? Side by side.
He's got outside.
Oh.
You see, for me, it's like I would have got on the brakes really early there and just try to get the nose to turn back in, because you know Krobler's going to run it a bit deeper. But yeah, he certainly is flipping, trying everything possible.
Round the outside again. Round the outside again. Can he dive down the inside? There's no Hail Mary available, but he is certainly applying the pressure. Nose to tail all the way on the back of that Ferrari. I think he's got the advantage going into the corner, but maybe that rear-engined Ferrari is able to get the power down as they exit. It does seem to be the case.
That braking zone into 13, 14 is so incredibly difficult just on your own in a hot lap. To do that close following another car and not run into the back of him, that is just pure brilliant driving.
Can they both win?
Yeah.
They have to go side by side across the line.
I promise you, this is actually some of the best racing I've seen. It's pretty special. And Daniel, what you said there, to do this lap after lap. Look at this.
See Adam down the inside.
He's got it.
The Ferrari goes
It was a mistake from the Ferrari. Grobler went a little bit just wide, just showed him the window, and Adam he took it.
I've got no problem with that, but that is a fantastic pass. You can stop flashing now; he's behind you. But I would be really, really pissed if race control gets involved in that, because that, for me, you've got to look at the build-up. Ferrari ran way out. It was nowhere near where it needed to be to defend that line. So if something happens here to change this, I'll be grumpy. Eh?
I don't think they will. They won't. They won't. That was the Ferrari. Just the pressure. He just missed his braking zone a little bit, and he left a Bentley-sized window just there for Adam to.
Check deploy. He's come down to 2.5 seconds. With
less than 2 seconds now. Less than 2 seconds.
Oh my word!
Did Krobler get damaged there? Did he get damaged? Will this compromise into the rest of the race?
That's door. No, that's door to door. I mean, listen, that's the strongest part of the car when it's door to door. There's no harpoon there, so I think they're good to go. But I think it's going to be a really frustrated Krobler. He's soaked up so much pressure.
I don't think Krobler's done yet. I don't think Krobler's done. I think Krobler is the incident is under investigation, but nothing conclusive yet. Under investigation.
Grobler just lost a bit of time there. He got into a tank slapper out of the final corner and he's dropped back.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. But Krobler certainly hasn't given up. He had 1.5 minutes to go, and he is very frustrated, I'm sure, now with that turnout. He did so well to absorb all that pressure.
It's gutting, isn't it? You spend 20 minutes of pressure, and you only have 2.5 to go.
The longest 20 minutes of your life into the shortest 2 minutes of your life.
But
Yeah,
guys,
totally.
also to be fair, I mean, I mentioned it earlier. Tariq has run the perfect race, and it literally was just when he pitted that put him behind Krobler.
No
Yes,
further
obviously.
action, guys. No
Grobbler
further
made the
Good.
pass, didn't he? He
Good.
come out in the first, Tariq Adams. Grobbler passed him, but on better tyres. So it
Exactly.
it was had to be earned, but
Yeah.
it was the fact that he came out on cold tyres that made the
Yeah.
difference, I think. And then it took him 25, 30 minutes to get past again.
Well, I am
Between-
glad sanity has prevailed, that there's no further action, because that's
Oh.
just brilliant racing.
I kind of wish there was further action just to see the arguments tomorrow evening.
Oh no! I promise you, if they want to get rid of me, that's a good way to get rid of me. Because I promise you, I'll hang up the commentator's mic if that happens.
Jay
Oh,
Krobler
dear.
now in second position. In first place, your leader, Tariq Adam, with just 30 seconds to go. He starts to extend the lead, and it does seem like
Second
Tariq
and a half to
As
Christian
the
De Poy.
pace.
Sorry. Can
Yeah.
we go back to second and third, please? We've got to have a look at that, because that's come right down. So we could have Krobler dealing with another Bentley. Oh, this is not going to be enough time. They're going to pick up last lap.
Yeah, last lap. Anyway, this officially, we just got the call from our producer. The last lap is now underway. The leader on the final lap, and just look at how close these guys are. Bruno Cadillo, the big loser here, he's going to slip down all the way from 5th place. Quite a few positions down.
You know what I'm worried about? It must be so weird for Tariq Adams to actually see what the track looks like. Because for the last 20 minutes or so, all he's seen is a green track layout, because he's been so close to the back of Krobler. So it must be so nice to be able to see where you're going. But that was
Remember where your braking points are again before you just wait for
Exactly.
the one in front of you to turn on.
But look, but that's just pure class there. I mean, he's taken the
Yeah.
lead and just absolutely composed the entire time. And I'm a bit disappointed to see Krobler lose it. But I mean, if anybody deserved to get that position, it was Tariq Adam for a fantastic drive, flag to flag. Although he lost that lead for a while, still
Yeah.
managed to maintain.
And he was
Let's have
patient
an-
as well, wasn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
he was there for so long. He could have forced it, but he didn't do that. He
Mm.
waited for that mistake to happen. And I mean, when you've only got 3-4 minutes left,
Yeah.
you think, blimey, is it going to come? But it did. So his patience paid off.
Brilliant. That's a great summary, that, Daniel, because it's exactly that. Sometimes you can go and do something stupid because you're feeling the pressure to get it done. But I think both of them have driven an epic race. And what I'm most excited about, JC's won a race already, but a first victory for Tariq Adams, is brilliant.
Fantastic stuff. And again, we've got a new winner, and they just crossed the line there, folks. That is it. Tariq Adams takes the win, flashes the lights in the Bentley. The first time for him. JC Krobler gets second position for his trouble. Deploy in third place. And a fantastic drive from Kieran Patterson into 4th. Bruno Cadillo is going to get that 15-second penalty, which should slide him down as Krobler and Adam lap
10th, eh?
next to each other. Oh, Morgan McCall there now in 10th position.
Yeah, but I think Bruno will probably end up in 10th, so it'll move all of them up. I'm just looking at what that gap was if you add the 15
I'm
seconds onto
watching
that.
the guys
Yeah.
are doing a little procession
That's
lap.
nice. Very nice. Yeah,
And
I think
Grobler
Adam and
and,
Grobler respect each other. That was
Yes.
such an epic battle.
Yes.
That they deserve it. But
Yeah.
both of them needed to win that race. You're quite right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
epic battle indeed, folks. We're going to cut to a break now, but just look at that formation there, lights flashing. Even Grobler's happy
lovely.
about that. A fantastic show of sportsmanship and great driving. We'll see you guys after the break for a recap. Stay tuned for more ATK Pro Series powered by Mercedes-Benz.
I've seen wild, wild things, tricks upon the eye.
And going into this race, I was wondering how were we going to top the excitement of last week. And you do that, guys. You do it with fantastic racecraft and amazing racing. And just look at our podium here for the first time ever. Tariq Adam takes the win in first position. JC Grobler in second, a previous winner. And Deploy in another Bentley. The Bentley's doing fantastically well here. Marius, we were talking offline a second ago after the pit lane shenanigans for the pit stops, things shuffled up properly, but Tariq Adam takes the win back in spectacular fashion. A drive of the day for him there. What are your thoughts so far?
But if I had champagne now, I'd be spraying it all over myself, because that was just, as a spectator, it was flipping. It was brilliant to watch. And we were talking off air, and Daniel, you were saying just some of the closest racing you've ever seen on ACC. And I think that for me is just unbelievable. The craft involved in that, to go lap after lap like that, was just unbelievable. So well done. That was epic.
Epic stuff. We got JC Leroux going to be joining us in the virtual commentary booth now. JC, you here? What happened? How did it go? Your previous winner, you had it in the bag. The pressure must have been insane. Tell us a bit more about your race.
Yeah, no, Tariq. Congrats to him. An insane pace for me side. Lots of pressure, forced me into a couple of mistakes, and my tires just died. That's pretty much the story of it. Tires was dead.
It did look like the Ferrari was taking a little bit of strain there.
Yeah, look, I probably should have practiced a couple of laps on a set of tires before just banging in fuel and going for a race, but that's no excuse. Tariq was a quicker guy today, and I think he honestly did deserve the win. Very well done to him.
You need to change your surname to Leroux, because you should be spraying JC Leroux right now, because we actually said at one point that both of you guys should have won that race if you could, because it was just an epic display of racecraft, blocking, respect. Just brilliant. Thank you for entertaining me on a Sunday afternoon. Loved it.
Yeah, brilliant. Did you start to feel comfortable, JC? Were you thinking, I've got this done with 4 minutes to go, or were you nervous the whole way?
Look, funny thing is, Tariq and I are actually quite good friends. We actually chat a lot and we talk a lot. We even practice together. So I knew he had pace. So I was never comfortable. But I was comfortable with
Thanks for your honesty.
I was comfortable having him around me, because I know he's respectful and I'll respect him. Yes, elbows were out, and at the end there was a little touch, but racing incident, I left the door open due to a mistake. So yeah, once again, well done, congrats to him. He really deserved it.
Did the flashing of the lights put you off at all? We saw Tariq Adam almost wore his flasher button out on his steering wheel. So.
Well, I think that's like auto mapped, like every 5 seconds it just auto flashes. So it is what it is. I mean, it's all in good fun. Like I said, we're good mates. So at the end, we're gonna get on the Discord and have a chat about it and laugh. So.
And JC, just thank you for how you ended it too, because that was so nice to see the respect shown, where you guys had a little bit of a parade lap, and that's great, because that's how you want to see races end. So that for me just tapped off a fantastic race afternoon.
Yeah, no, it was really fun. Once again, thanks for the production. Well done to Christian. Like, good to see a new name on the grid. He gets to experience how it feels being fat now. But it's not fun, I can guarantee you that. But no.
Well, your consolation prize is you're a little bit less fat than Adam will be in the next round.
Look, I was honestly contemplating on parking ahead of the line, waiting for 4 cars to pass me and then crossing the line. It was really crossing my mind, but that would just be bad sportsmanship. So take it as it comes.
But JC, you've worked it well. What we were saying earlier is, like, if you end up, when you've got no weight, you've got to be on the podium, and when you've got weight, you've got to score points. So that's how it pans out. So you're going to have a bit of a struggle at Donington, but at Kyalami you're going to be good for a win. So that's a strategy that you've implemented really well.
Kyalami I won't be good for a win. Ferrari struggles there. Not its strongest track. It's a mid-pack car, and I think
you're going to have no weight. So watch.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean.
There's a plethora of Porsches ahead of me, so. Yeah, that's going to be difficult, but we'll see how it comes. I mean, anything can happen in a race. So
but think through this now. We know that Porsche is going to be good at Donington. You're going to have weight, so those Porsches are going to do well in Donington, and they're going to collect weight. So when they get to Kyalami, the track that they're really good at, they're going to be fat pigs. So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of strategy going around here. So score the points when you have to, and you can, and let's see how it all unfolds when you get to Kyalami.
Well, what a fantastic.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But once again, guys, thank you so much. once again, congrats to the podium finishers and to everyone who finished. It was really fun. Really enjoyed this race.
Yeah,
Good.
a fantastic drive from you, and we hope to see you at the next one. Hard charging as always is JC Grobler getting second position there after a fantastic race. Our first place winner, Tariq Adam, in first place in the Bentley. Mr. Adam, wow, you had the patience that was needed in a situation where patience was absolutely called for. You waited till exactly the right moment and made it stick. Well done.
Thank you very much. It was an insane battle with JC. Lots of respect shown, and it was great fun.
Daniel Rowe said, I messaged him, where the hell are you? He said, no time racing yesterday. But he said, you're going to fly the flag for your team. And that was brilliant. And I mean, you were obviously in the McLaren before, switched across to the Bentley. Was that obviously knowing that the Bentley is going to do well at this track? And obviously it helps having Daniel having done enough setup in the car. Did that help?
It was actually more, I just wasn't clicking with the McLaren. And I'm quite used to the Bentley from previous championships and such. So I just went back to what I was comfortable with because I knew I could actually achieve results with it. And I've done a few races on Misano. I know it's good on Kailami, decent on Donington. I just went back to what I'm comfortable with.
Nice.
Was it quite weird going through the last couple of laps where you actually had a clear track? You could see where the turn-in is and where the brake points, because you literally were glued to the back of JC for so many laps. It was really unbelievable to watch, and just a massive stand-up to both of you for proper racecraft and skills, because to do that lap after lap is unbelievable.
Yeah, it was quite insane. I was just waiting for him to miss his braking mark by a couple meters, and eventually...
And he did.
Eventually, he made a mistake in the first sector, so I had to capitalize that.
Brilliant. Yay. I'm stoked for you. It's nice to have a new winner. It's amazing.
And just look at that. We've had new winners over and over now. So many new familiar faces. But I can just see some of the other guys rubbing their hands together, waiting for the next event. The guys that were running ballast, and now Tariq Adam and JC Grobler, Christian Deploy, and Kieran Patterson will be rocking all of that ballast as they take the points through to the championship standings. Tariq Adam, your winner there, a deserved winner, and a fantastic performance from him. As we look at the race standings of here, and of course today would not be possible without our sponsors, Mercedes-Benz, powering this event. ATK Motorsport South Africa, this is an official sanctioned event, folks. Kailami 9 Hour, and of course Coach Dave Academy. The next round, it's a big one. We're going back to the UK, and this of course is Donington Park, one of my favorite circuits. And
Love it.
I have I've got an ankle injury, guys. I'm going to have to power through it because I want to do some laps on this circuit. This is actually one of the first circuits that I played on Assetto Corsa 2 years ago at ATK Arena in Cape Town. And a special circuit. We've all seen the touring car guys muscling it around here. And now we finally get to see our guys at Donington Park. I'm sure, Daniel, you're quite excited for this one.
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, this is probably why I signed on for this thing. Donington, back in my motherland. I can't go there without 10 days in a hotel, so I might as well go there virtually and watch some racing. But it's gonna be a classic. You got the usual track cuts through that chicane. Let's watch out for that. But it's so close in those tight last two corners. It's a brilliant track, and the elevation changes as well. You get a VR headset on in Donington. Oh,
yeah, that's exactly what I did. It was incredible.
Brilliant.
That was when I played with the VR headset at ATK. It felt like I was sitting in a real GT car. It's an incredible experience. We know some of the guys are running the VR headsets. Marius, do you approve of Donington Park?
I was just going to say, before you get that, you're moaning about your ankle injury. I mean, tomorrow night we've obviously got the GT Sport guys. I mean, you could always go and play on there, because then you can use your thumbs and play with the controllers, and you don't need to worry about your high heels injury. But no, dude, listen, we spoke about it when we went to Alton Park, and I just love that we've really mixed it up. And all of the tracks we've gone to are really old school racing tracks. And that for me is why we've had the action I think that we have, because these are proper tracks where the guys have to be fully committed. No two tracks are the same. I'm really looking forward to that. And I hope there's going to be some weather thrown into it, because we can't be going into the UK in June. It could be that one summer day that they do have. But I think it's going to be an
we
epic.
Get more than one day.
I think it's on a Wednesday this year. I think it's on a Wednesday.
Oh, dear. I hear it all the time.
Well, that's why you're in South Africa.
To be fair, this is like next to East Midlands Airport, so it's the wind that you got to watch out for at Donington usually. But it's going to be great. It's always good. The race at Donington, I've never seen a bad race at Donington, so I'm not going to jinx it. But I'm touching some wood anyway, just in case.
And good cars, Daniel.
Yeah, you just can't go wrong, can you? I think. As far as good cars go, I don't know. I'll make sure I take them all round. I haven't done a lot. I've done a lot in Assetto Corsa, but not in ACC for Donington. I'll do quite a few laps before, and we'll have a bit of a briefing during the Pro-Am series of what to look out for.
Yeah, I think I'll get in touch with you. I'll do a couple of laps myself in the coming days. But guys, what a last two. We normally only talk about the round that's just been completed, but we've had 2 rounds in a row, which have been absolutely fantastic. And I'm confident now, really, honestly, that we're going to go into this next round and have some more epic racing in the Pro-Am and Pro Division. I mean, things are really hotting up in the ATK Pro Series, aren't they?
I assumed it was just like that all the time. These are the only 2 rounds I've ever done. Is it not like that usually?
No, I just think the changes that have been made, we've spoken a lot about them during the race, like bringing in the ballast, changing cars, all of these sort of things have just elevated this whole series to a proper strategy thing where guys are thinking longer term, not just thinking about this weekend and what I've got to do. And all of these new race winners that we've had this season really means you're going to go to the final round at Kyalami with everything to play for, and we haven't had that, and I think that is what excites me. But just the quality of racing that we've had, the guys have really stepped up from last year, and I think that's what the series is about. You know, Pro-Am's a feeder system, but when you get to the pros, the guys are really on it, and it's amazing to watch. It really is grandstand stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for the 4th round of the ATK Pro Series. Be sure to join us tomorrow evening for our incident report and the Gran Turismo leg of the ATK Pro Series. Of course, this event would not be possible without Mercedes-Benz Motorsport South Africa. This is an officially sanctioned event, folks. Kyalami 9-hour, Coach Dave Academy, and of course the boys and girls at ATK Arena down in Cape Town, Claremont. Make sure to pop in there if you are in the area. My name is Ernest Page, joined by Marius and Daniel. What a fantastic race this has been. We'll see you guys at the next round.